Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. Look who I've got back, Sheila Holm, and we have a lot to discuss today. Wow, so much. Sheila, thanks for coming back on again.
It's exciting. It's exciting. Here we are.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Now, a lot of people are like, we were talking about this just before we started. A lot of people are like, Trump is like, he screwed up by going and hitting Iran, and but you know, what's the price of oil in a barrel? What's the price of oil around the world, in Asia and all other places that refuse to help? 150. So, we don't really need to go in and straighten out the Strait of Hormuz. So, we pretty much done what we needed to do, I think. So we may see, because Trump's been sending, necessarily going to put boots on the ground. He's even said that I'm not putting boots anywhere.
No, no. And China's calling for oil to buy from us. I don't know if he's going to make a deal with them, but he made one with Japan. Prime Minister was here, female prime minister yesterday, made a deal with them, had dinner last night. And after Cuba has said, we will not be intimidated, we will not be negotiating, they caved. Yesterday, they started negotiating.
Yep. Yep. Everything seems to be going, as planned, like we've been talking about. Is changing. There's a lot of narratives out there. I don't think they're all correct, but we're going to see. Stock market was down pretty heavily today. Oil was back up near $100. WTI. The British oil, I guess, is up 112, I think. So again, they're paying a lot more than we are, and they don't want to get involved in straightening out the Strait of Hormuz. So why should we?
The president was so funny. He said, "I don't see what's straight about the Strait of Hormuz anyway. I don't see anything straight." And I sent out the Bloomberg chart yesterday, and they put the picture of the Strait of Hormuz in there, and it's just like one big U-turn. It's just there is nothing straight about the Strait of Hormuz, but nobody thought about that before. But Bloomberg put a chart around it, and China needs like 38. Japan's on there, Asia's on there, all these different countries are on there needing that, and they can't get it. But this is how he does his art of war. He told everybody, and we all heard it. He said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have our ships help get you through. We're going to make sure everybody's protected and stay safe and everything else. And then wanted everyone to join him. Nobody joined him. Nobody agreed to help. Nobody's going to pay. Nobody's going to send equipment. Nobody's going to do anything. So he just said, okay, then we're shutting it down. You guys figure it out yourself. And now they're all calling him. Well, how are we going to get the oil if you don't get it? Because we've been doing everything, paying for everything, sending our troops everywhere. It's so beautiful what's happening.
Yep, exposure. So a lot of people are saying that, he's doing Israel's bidding. I don't agree with that whatsoever, but they're going to find a way to make that fit. A lot of people have been doing that, saying that we have all these people in Congress that have dual citizenship. Or dual passports, and I agree with that. That's something we need to be aware of. That's not done anywhere else in the world. Why? Who are they working for? Are they working for the people of Israel, or are they working for the people of America?
Well, and there's a lot of interesting things. You may have the answer to this. I don't have the answer. They're all asking, where's Bibi? I said, what do you mean, where's Bibi? And they go, well, they're calling for proof of life, and he's not even answering that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
He's in a coma or dead. Probably a coma.
Well, because people didn't understand. They kept, and this is when you are not operating in truth, you'll say anything. You'll be headlines. And I've said this forever. It's impossible to think you want to get rid of the mainstream media, and yet you want to act like the mainstream media. It's not going to help anybody in any nation. And so that's what we've kind of got going on right now. And they still think that we went in and we caused all this and we started this hornet's nest. Not true. It was Israel that took out the IRGC guys.
Yeah.
Our guys knew where they were. And the president said, this is for them to resolve in the Middle East, but I'm going to support them, and I'm not going to let this come here. I'm not going to let it. And that's what we started out with President Jefferson. He created the Marines, sent them over there to take care of it over there. So it never came here. We haven't had that until we got back our Department of War. So if people aren't watching how different Department of War operations are, this is an operation. We're not at war. This is an operation, and we're going to take care of business, and it's going to be handled, and they're not going to be able to treat us the way they've been treating us, because they've killed Americans how many decades now,
Yeah.
and high numbers, you know.
Well,
So
this is another problem we talked about, how all over the world it's like they're trying to eliminate the white race.
mhm,
If you look at all of the Europe, they're importing Muslims like crazy. Here in America, we imported Muslims like crazy. In Canada, uh, they like Indians in Canada, but
mhm,
in Canada, they're doing assisted suicide, uh,
mhm,
and just decimating their population. They like we here in America and in Europe, we have a lot of homeless, a
mhm.
lot of military veterans who commit suicide, 22 a day. It's insane. Uh, they don't help all of those people. They pull in more people. I just saw where New York pays $81,000 for each one of their illegal immigrants.
It,
That's
it's all
insane.
it's all a replacement process,
Absolutely.
complete replacement.
Yeah.
Um, President Trump just sent out a notice where he really, wants to emphasize voter ID and et cetera. So how do we do a voter ID when we haven't protected Social Security numbers?
Yeah.
We haven't protected our driver's licenses. We haven't protected our passports. I found out there's a
Hmm.
guy on the three military guys, and his wife is from the Philippines. And so they're crossing every T, dotting every I, making sure she becomes a naturalized citizen. And somebody
Hmm.
said, "You're ridiculous to do that." He said, "Why?" And they said, "Well, because all you have to do is take the green card to the post office with a photo for the passport, fill out the application with the post office, submit it, and she'll get an American passport." And he thought, that is crazy. So he went down to his post office thinking maybe it's something unusual. And so I put it out on internet, and people went, "Well, the post office is screwed up anyway, Sheila." Da, da, da. And I said, "Guys, the post office doesn't issue the passport. Our Secretary of State, before Trump came back, was issuing American passports on resident visas. And everybody from all these nations who came into America and bought a business, you were able to get a green card.
Hmm.
Remember the HB5, I think it was?
Hmm.
And when you did that, you spent 250,000 plus buying a business in America. And then you and all your children under 18, 21, whatever it was, would all get to come in and get all green cards. China has been buying up all the franchises of Hilton, guys. Can you imagine how many of those got a green card?
Wow. Hmm.
And now they all can turn in their green card and their passport photo and an application and get a passport that shows they're an American. That's a real ID for all of us. Plus the real ID issues at DMV, getting voter registration. And all the illegals had to do was turn in a piece of paper, an envelope, or a bill that showed an address to mail the driver's license to. And we had to go do through this whole process being a legal American. They've been replacing us. It's not just depopulation. This replacement thing is huge. And that's why President Trump, and a lot of people still don't know, so I'm going to let you know, Monroe Doctrine was all about infiltration. And then he became President Monroe. That's why they took him out. Not just Jefferson and Adams on our 50th, but on our 55th in 1831, they took out President Madison or Monroe, because President Monroe wrote the Monroe Doctrine. You have to stop this tyranny on before they come on our shores. Everything we got away from is now here. We have to stop this. We have to correct this. That's what he gave Congress that report in 1820. So now President Trump has coined a new phrase for us. Are you ready? Donroe Doctrine is now President Trump's new quote. So he's
Yeah.
now doing Donroe Doctrine with ICE and the team.
So there's also I saw, I don't know if it's true. It looks like it's right, but they have a gold coin which we can be used legal tender with President Trump on it. So I think he will be the first president in history that will actually, in his lifetime as president, will get a coin in with his face on it. That's pretty
Oh,
impressive.
that would be awesome. That
Yeah.
would, well, is Mount Rushmore right behind? I don't know. I don't know.
Probably. Because we've seen some pictures of somebody that was on top of one of the the heads, and people were saying it
Hmm.
was JFK Jr. So it's
Hmm.
very interesting. So yeah, he's out there somewhere doing his thing.
Hmm. Yeah, that was Gene Ho, and that was July 4. What would that have been? Was that 17 or 18? I think 17.
Something like that. Yeah.
He went out there for 4th of July.
Very cool.
So, because Mary Hart was the MC. Mary Hart and I were Firo sisters at Augustana University back a couple decades ago, back in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We attended the same college, and she was a year ahead of me and we were in the Firos. And she married the Dean of Men, Terry Hart, became Mary Hart, then went on Entertainment Tonight. And so it was Christy Nome who was the governor then. I'm really trying to place the year. But Christy Nome was the governor, and she invited her because they knew each other as residents in South Dakota. So,
Hmm. Very nice. So do you want to play that one video we were talking about? It's
oh,
on.
the short little one with the Mission Impossible background.
Yeah, let's play that one.
It
So I'll
could be
pull that
fun.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll give us a little insight, also, I believe. So I'm gonna share the screen so we can check that out.
The music is not showing up.
All right, let me go back. When I share the screen, I have to I think
Top
choose. Yeah.
secret. I didn't even
Zoom.
notice that before. I was laughing so hard. Now it's top secret data transfer.
Interesting.
Isn't this great?
That's perfect.
And the cafe's Oasis Cafe. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, it's just, I don't know how they do these. I really don't know how they do these. It's
Yeah, that's
not
great.
something I can do.
Yeah, the AI now is really good. So
Hmm.
CGI and AI. So it'll make pretty much anything you need it to make. And that's what they did with Netanyahu. So, he had several videos where he was supposedly alive and doing well, and uh, we saw the CGI in it, and it was six fingers on one. So he did another video. We had like, here, see, I got all my fingers, and then he like put his hand in his pocket. That didn't work, and then he was sipping on coffee. That was obviously CGI'd. So,
Hmm.
yep.
Yeah, the variances and wherever he is now, I mean, who knows? Just who knows? But the other thing that's fun about this, and now there's even commercials out where the guy's doing the deal in the commercial, he gets done with the deal in the commercial, and then everybody thinks that's who they're dealing with, and the guy signs as though that's him, and then he takes a mask off and he's a completely different person. And I think they're trying to let people know, but there have been discussions about this because didn't it start as a CIA project where they were doing this? And then there was a movie. Do you remember the movie? Not the one with Nicolas Cage and I don't know who was the other guy where the face off where they became each other. It's not that one. It's the one where the heavyset guy and Tom Cruise, the heavyset guy, he wears his mask sometimes, and that you know what I mean. And
Oh
so
yeah.
you, who is it that you're really seeing? Because
Was
the
it
two of them are wearing
Tropic
masks of
Thunder, I
each other.
think?
The what?
Tropic Thunder.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Because that deal was done offshore. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
And so I love this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And nobody wants to believe me. Well, they wouldn't look the same. It wouldn't look smooth or anything if they put the mask on over something else. And they've even shown people who have a lot of hair and have facial hair and everything else, and they take it off and they're bald and they have no facial hair.
Oh yeah.
So if you're thinking you're not, you're thinking you're seeing it as smooth, and because it's been perfected. This has been going on for several years of operating as someone completely different.
Oh yeah. I did that all the time when I was overseas working for the CIA. I had toupees, I had mustaches, had glasses that were just plain glasses, but it looked like I was astute or something. And I had my shalwar kameez on, my little hat, and I got tan. If I wasn't tan enough, they would like tan me, put a coat of brown on me. So I'd go out and walk the streets and assalamu alaikum, and and walk like they do. They don't swing their arms. So
Yeah.
they walk with their arms at their sides. So you had to learn, the little mannerisms, and that way you could fit in and move around. So yeah, it's very easy on that level. So the mask now, some of those masks are like, $50,000, $100,000, because they're
Mm-hmm.
very, very amazing. So
Mm-hmm.
anyone can put these masks on now. And I've seen
Mm-hmm.
people that, buy these masks and they put them on and they're completely fool their wives or husbands or whatever. So
Mm-hmm. Well, and did you see what James O'Keefe? He went out again as like a homeless person. He was out on the street, and he got video of
yeah,
people paying homeless people to fill in ballots.
that's amazing. I mean, look, they
Unbelievable.
infiltrated his. He created that one show, whatever, and they
Mm-hmm.
infiltrate and try to take him down, and he still
Mm-hmm.
continuing to reveal.
Mm-hmm. When
So
you know
he's
when I
he's a
went to
hero.
the when I went to the signing or swearing in of the naturalized citizens, it was on January 22 of this year, and they were already signing people up that day to vote. And I said, with your primary, are you guys within the time frame? Oh, ma'am, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Hmm.
So just you sign up to vote, you sign up to vote. And they were pressuring people. They had clipboards and they were all throughout the crowd. There were 51 people from 24 different countries and they were registering them the same day before they even talked to them about anything.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, there's definitely some problems there, and the primaries are already corrupted. So
mhm,
so we have very you know corrupted excuse me, people that are going to be in positions for voting, like Greg Abbott. So
mhm.
I really don't think he was voted in the primary. They came in
No,
and
in
cheated. Yeah.
fact, Pete Chambers has been putting some things out. I think I sent
Oh,
one or
good.
two things out in the last week. Yeah, they're right on top of this because supposedly he got 11%, and he's got the whole National Guard behind him. He's got the Texas Rangers behind him. He's got all these people who are furious with Abbott and all these communities they built and everything else, and he's got 11% and Abbott's got over 80%. I don't think so. We know about the
Wow.
buses where he's busting in illegals. We know about what he's doing to bring things in across the border. Everything's been documented.
Mm.
And Pete has even said the day I get elected is the day he gets served and arrested. You know what I mean? And so Texas was ready for a change and then boom. But the same thing happened in Georgia. Remember
Yeah.
when Kemp and the other gal got 7% and he got 80% or something, and it was the other way around.
Oh, wow.
And so, but he's still in there. Supposedly, nobody ever sees him. So, and that's the whole thing about all of this. But here's the opportunity. Are we going to have an election in 26? Is it possible? And people say, well, we're going to have this national emergency thing. Maybe. Is that going to happen in 26? Because I don't think we're going to have another election and let happen what happened in 20 and 22 and 24. Those were, you were given three chances. You were given at least a second chance after 2020 was known. So you had 22 and 24 still committing the same crimes. So I don't know how we can go into a 26 when they won't even stop the machines. Do you know what just came out? It just came out today, and I'm trying to remember what state it's in, where they're going to try, I think it was in Georgia, where they're going to try and move away from the machine process by 28 or 30. That's what they're putting through with their state legislature. And what they don't understand, they're saying, well, it was a state election. None of these are a state election. Not one of these are a state election. I think we talked about this when we did the Q&A with Juan, is that it's a 2-year term. I can't find anything on how it became a 4-year term and then calling this a midterm. But every election, all of the details, the reports have to go to the House of Representatives all across the nation. And the nation has a standardized process of election, and every election is a federal election. So to say, well, we don't have to do it this time because it's not a federal election. They think only the presidential election is a federal election. That's not true. You're voting for different congresspeople and senators all the time, depending on what's happening in your state. So we're in very interesting times, but here's what the process is supposed to be. When the republic becomes structured, and you can't just change what's happening now and think it's just the republic, because you cannot, and this was something I was going to mention to you. I heard someone, it was talking to you about, we have now re-inhabited the republic. You cannot have two governments operating at the same time.
Right.
And I was involved in that process that they're talking about in 2008, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And by 12, people were in trouble. And I knew who the agents were who were with us, and nothing ever happened to them. And I watched what they did to everybody that then was arrested. And then the people that cooperated with them then now have stationery with their seals on it. So the presidential seal, a congressman's seal, all this kind of seal junk that they're now running the state, and they're the interim people or whatever they want to call themselves. You cannot do that. So when I explained it to our friend the first night we met back in Vegas in January 22, he said, you don't know why the people were being arrested? I said, I don't know, because they said a senator told him how to do this. So I was helping because I thought this is what we're supposed to do to get our republic back. And by what the FBI did to me, I knew we were so corrupted. But what happened? He said, Sheila, all of this is sedition. You cannot create a nation state, a republic. You can't create anything once they've taken you over. And that's what they did. We now have this corporate structure, and all of it has to be peeled away, done away with, taken care of. All of it has to change in order to completely start over, because that's what Jefferson said. You can't just replace an evil. Once it's corrupted, it's gone. And we've been corrupted since 1790, 1791. That's when they brought in all the centralized banks. They had national banks. All of this was against our Constitution. And all they did was ruin the founding fathers. That's in the 45 points. Discredit the founding fathers, discredit the Bible, discredit the God, discredit everything that this nation was founded on. Discredit, 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 all the way down.
Yep.
And you cannot do this. And so I've warned people. They want me to speak at their events. They want me to attend their conferences. They had a big national thing in October. And so I told the team about it. If anyone can go find out how you can help them, but I'm not going to step back into that, because I don't want to participate in something that could possibly keep us from getting our republic reestablished. And it has to be done from scratch, and it has to be done right. And we can't just kind of do it and run into a couple of problems, because then it easily is corrupted again. Because that's why he said, it was Benjamin Franklin that told Mrs. Powell, she said, what did you give us today, when they finished the Continental Congress? And Benjamin Franklin said, we gave you a republic if you can keep it. And they knew how tough it was going to be, because everybody in the world was programmed for monarchy. And they wanted President George Washington to become the king of America after everything he went through to get it where it needed to be. And then they said he was this high-level Mason, and you couldn't have trusted him or any of the other founding fathers. even if he was in the Masons in England, but nothing was ever mentioned in the documents, and he lived in reverential fear of the Lord. So it's hard to believe that he could be a high-level Mason and that. But if in the renouncing prayer, and a lot of people have been writing about how do I find it, just look up renouncing prayer of the Masonic, renouncing oath prayer for the Masonic, and you'll get the information. But you have to stop shortly into it, because all the stuff that they did in America was to sink us deeper into it, that the guys that got involved could never, ever, ever find a way out. And then you just keep increasing into all the other ones. And that's how they structured our nation, was under their grids, their plan, and to do anything in these towns. And they structured the towns and said, to be in this town, you want to be an attorney, you want to be a judge, you want to be a grocer, you want to be a sandwich shop, you want whatever you want to do, you want to be a pastor, you have to be a member. And people go, well, what if you would refuse? You better not move to that town. But they were doing it in all the towns. And so that's how the structure got so pervasive in every one of our communities. And none of that's been dealt with yet. And you can't just start a republic and have all of that still making it corrupted and operate fraudulently. A republic has to be protected and retained.
So how do we replace it correctly? Do we start at grassroots and start taking out the county people that are in there illegally and change our laws, or how does it work?
Well, dare I say, have we missed the fact that we don't have our government in place? They're still off, right? They're still choosing not to come back. Has anybody missed them? Has anybody thought, we really need them. They really need to run back to DC, because that was never the thing. These jobs were never full-time jobs. They were community people coming and helping do what they needed to do. And those who did jobs that required hours of their time were properly paid. And that's what Titus 1 is about. That's why I put the whole chapter in of Titus chapter 1. It's all about, you got to have people who will not grift, who will not participate in grifting. They've got to be truthful, honest people. And I said, let's start with the people doing the budgets. But the thing is, how do you pull them out when the whole network is running your community? So the way that there's a redress of grievance. Did you know redress of grievance stopped after the Revolutionary War?
Really?
And when Amy Coney Barrett was being interviewed for and questioned to become a Supreme Court justice, that was the right that we have that she couldn't remember, because nobody does it anymore. So like amendments 3 and 4 are all about, you're not going to keep putting British soldiers in our house without even, you can't just tell them they can stay in our house. They're robbing from us and killing us. And, you can't do this. And those amendments happened because of redress of grievance. And what people don't understand, what the Brunson brothers did, they should have been able to go to the Supreme Court. And people go, no, Sheila, you got to go through all these levels. I said, no, that's because you've got a British justice system controlling everything. We're supposed to be able to decide everything quickly and concisely. Equal justice, equal mercy. And you do it as quickly as possible so that the damages don't rack up. And they said, well, how are we going to do that? I said, the Supreme Court's the people's court.
Yeah.
And they said, well, what's the difference? And I said, they don't make laws. They've gone so far now, they made laws. And that's why Clarence Thomas listed those 6 cases that have to be redone after they corrected Roe versus Wade. Roe versus Wade became law. Same-sex marriage became law. That's not law. They're not a legal branch to make law. Congress makes law. They are opinion, and the opinion then has to be engaged and proceeded upon by who? The president. So we haven't been following the Constitution at all. Now, here's what's different in coming back to the Republic. When we do this, we don't really need most of these people that are in there. We need the same Doge to clean up our entire community as cleaned up some of the federal agencies. And because all of it became about money and laundering money. And that tells you who's involved and who's in charge. And so we don't need any of these things. Everything needs to be on a smaller scale. That's why it's going to be powerful what you're going to be doing in working on the understanding of these school bonds. I don't think I've seen a ballot, and I was in California for a long time now. I'm still in California, and every election we have, you need to increase the bond for this, you need to increase the bond for this, you need to increase the bond for this. And none of it's helping anybody. We don't see any improvement whatsoever. And so it's going to be real interesting when you guys get this this all handled this next week, and bring all of this into the right structure. So number one, bringing it into the right structure, so the people operating in the wrong structure have to be dealt with, and they're everywhere. They are absolutely everywhere, but we're really not going to miss them. Our city
Yeah.
councils don't have to be in their offices every day of the week. See what I mean? They turned it into full-time jobs with pensions. It's none of this is per our constitutions. And when you go represent your state for a couple of years, then you come home and the next person goes, now here's the other requirement. Did you know that they were required to be a landowner, a business owner? And so you can't be away from your land for 40, 50 years, or your business 40, 50 years. You go help do what the country needs you to do for a couple of years, and then you come back and the next business owner, landowner, because you have to have a stake in this nation. We have people who don't even own a house that are running this country. It's just, it's been crazy. And they become multimillionaires and they didn't even own a house when they got the job. It's so they don't have a stake in the country. They're not committed to this country. They're not the majority of the entire Congress, more than 80%. It's been proven by the polls of their backgrounds. They're holding dual citizenship. If you and I remember that it was back in the 90s, early 2000s. I have relatives that were born in other countries. And because my families have lived in other countries, my dad's side Norway and my mom's side England and Scotland, I could go get another passport from that country. And they said it would be a brief period of time. Do you know what they did to people by 2010? If you're flying out of the country and you're carrying more than one passport, you have to decide. Now, why would I have to decide as an American, and yet 80% of our Congress still has two passports, two residencies that they're committed to?
Yeah.
It's just, so the cleanup. So to say, what do we clean up first? It's as layered as what you're seeing with Iran and Israel and Cuba and England. I mean, all of this is coming together right now, and you need a mind like Trump to take it all apart and see how to do this. But the control also has corporations over it. So we can start by dismantling the corporations, and we can go into dismantling the control of the societies and dismantling everything that's secret. That's what they've done with the federal government. I have never, ever sat in on so many videos of cabinet meetings. It's fascinating to hear exactly what they're doing, what they're focused on, what he wants them to now start doing, what the other areas the citizens are bringing up. They're taking care of issues. They're about the people's business. Those are the only people that are supposed to be full-time. Everybody else is supposed to be running their business, taking care of their land, and then they get a notice, you got to go to DC and do this. And that's been since they had to go by horseback. And so this now, they have homes there. They reside there. They're there full time. They've given themselves big pensions. But we saw that in the military accountability letter. Your pensions aren't going to be there for you. You haven't operated in the right way for our country. So, and I think a lot of this is going to get cleaned up with the Brunson case. A lot of it's going to be cleaned up with the case against the judges that didn't take oaths, and then all the cases that they did illegally against us. All of this is going to come down. And so people say, well, can we get all this done while Trump is still here? He is setting it up so we can do it. It's probably going to take 4 or 5 decades to get it done. But again, the most important thing is we've got to so thoroughly do it. We do it right. That's the only way we can pass it on to the 3rd and 4th generation, because nothing Nothing that is in place needs to stay. Really, there's nothing.
Yeah, I think that John Brennan and James Clapper and probably James Comey, maybe not so much Clapper, but definitely Brennan and Comey are probably two of the first people that are going to be indicted and sent to Guantanamo for trials. So that's something that Juan brought up that he could Brennan specifically because he's treasonous. He could go to a military tribunal forthwith and not have any kind of judicial action here in the United States. It just goes right because it's a treasonous act. He goes to a military tribunal, and that would be a major strike against that group, and then the dominoes would start to fall pretty quickly after that.
Mm-hmm. And people forget about Brennan. Do you remember when Pelosi was going to take 93 or 98 of her relatives and go to Europe and then come back and be the president? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
And the memes about that? Because people, when I've been mentioning about Brennan since Juan brought it up last week on our Q&A, when I mention this to people, they go, well, Brennan, but that was his job. I said, was it his job to get a Russian missile? And then have the admiral or colonel or whoever from England and his right-hand guy. I mean, it was Red October all over again in a submarine, wait till it gets to the shore, leave Pelosi and all of her people and all of her luggage on the tarmac waiting. And that's why the cutest thing, because he wouldn't have seen it from the Rose Garden is outside the Oval Office, but they had a meme where President Trump was standing looking out at the Rose Garden area and going, wait, no, wait, wait. And the wait went all the way down the drapes, right? He keeps saying, wait, wait, wait. Okay, now tell Pelosi that her trip is canceled.
Right. Yeah.
Because they have no right to be doing these things. They're traveling. But Donna Brazil didn't know that it got canceled. So Donna Brazil sent a text message saying, welcome home, Madam President, to let her know that, okay, now it's all in position. It's all ready to go. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And for Brennan to do something like that on top of everything else he's done, it just, and that's why people perp walk. That's if you want to put somebody in jail overnight. You go out and just handcuff them and arrest them and put them in jail overnight. That is not what's going to happen with these people. You're right. They are going to be taken, and it's going to be military justice that is completely different than what people are aware of. We don't hear about court martials. But that military accountability letter said the court martials are going to begin, and they named the first three sentences in the third paragraph, and then many others that are going to be court martialed. And you will not have a retirement, and you will not have a future in this. Because they're going to be in tribunals after the court martial. So
yeah. So Pelosi did a trip to Jordan, and there was talk that she was there in October of 2019, and that coincided with October 27th when al-Baghdadi was killed right across the border from where she was. So there's talk that she went there to communicate with al-Baghdadi, and they got that communication. That's where they knew where his location was, and then they sent in the Delta guys.
I heard all of that, and that it confirmed that there was some sort of a payoff for something, and that she was personally delivering it. And wow. There was somebody with her. I'm trying to remember who the other person was, but there was somebody with her. But yes, they made that trip.
Yeah, it was a congressional delegation, a bunch of Democrat, demon rats. But yeah, so treasonous, so we've seen, I've seen, and I pointed it out that she has body doubles, and it looked like at one time that she got wrapped up and pulled in, and we've seen, she basically got taken to the sideline, and she's not as involved anymore. And is that because that she's been replaced like Biden? I think that's one of the things we need to be aware of, that some of these people already been dealt with. So I think she's one of them.
Somebody asked me, they said, she's looking younger. Do you suppose she had plastic surgery? It's
Yeah,
all I can do to be serious when people tell me that kind of stuff, because the only reason she looks younger is because that's not really her, you
exactly.
know? I
Exactly.
mean, the actress who plays Kamala Harris, she told everybody she's playing her, and people
Yeah.
didn't want to believe her.
Yep.
But she is that funny, and she's that quirky with her head. She was a good fit. She didn't really have to do much of anything to be her.
Yeah, it
Um,
didn't take a lot of brain power. Just
yeah.
act stupid. It's like anyone can do that. So she fit right in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we don't
And
see too
Tim
much of
Wall's
her
her
anymore
running
either.
partner.
So yeah, all these people that, have been a problem are, and then the ones that, really get out there, like Gavin Newsom, I think he's been replaced too, but he's basically there to, get everybody to see, how far and how deep the corruption is. I mean, in California, have like this bridge to nowhere, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's $100 million bridge already. It's supposed to go into like another 18 or more, probably a lot more. But it's for the cougars, the wild cougars, so that they can cross this highway. So I've been working on it for years. It was supposed to be like, I don't know, 28 million or whatever. Now it's like over
Mm-hmm.
100 million. And it's going to have butterflies on it and all kind of crazy stuff for the, the radical liberals that, just love all this stuff. But they want to, their success, non-success really, kind of like that, the train, bullet train that never happened. So their success, as he's claiming and doing this, uh, they're going to do like 100 more bridges throughout California. So there's got to be a massive reveal of just how
Mm-hmm.
corrupt this is. And we're talking billions of dollars for these bridges. And now if they're concerned about the cougars, they can, reintroduce another little cougar, and so forth. And uh, for the amount that they have paid already for that bridge,
Mm-hmm.
they could keep reintroducing cougars for the next 1,000 years,
Mm-hmm.
the same cost. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the corruption is over the top and it's being exposed everywhere.
Well, and that train, that was all they were doing tunnels. There's a guy from France, and it's because in the 45 points, they said to let patents in America be obtained by people all over the world. It's a unique one. I put a picture of it in, I'm pretty sure, in the new book, and I think it's in book 5 also. And it's from France, but it's a US patent to use our hemoglobin to enlighten concrete.
Hmm.
And so it's being used for tunnels.
Wow.
And so that's they were building all of this, and there's not an inch of that bullet train that's going to get us to Sacramento from Southern California quickly, you know, like we all want to go to Sacramento quickly. And they've been so far over budget, and there's still not even an inch of it ready to go. But they've been building it ever since they got that patent. Isn't that interesting? The Georgia
Wow.
Guidestones, all happened in 1980.
Hmm.
So billions of dollars, billions of dollars. In fact, I started taking snapshots of all the times that they said they weren't going to send them the federal money at that time. And every single time, the Browns, Ed Brown, the son, Jerry Brown, these are all Gettys. Pelosi's a Getty.
Oh, wow.
They're all Gettys. Newsom's a Getty, the whole Newsom family.
Huh.
And so all of these people, every time they're supposed to get like $469 billion from the federal government for the state of California, they're exactly $469 billion in debt. So as much as they are red, and then all we do is fill the coffers, but nothing happens with the money that comes from the Fed to help us.
Wow.
It all goes to these weird things.
So here's that coin. It has been U.S. Mint can begin producing Trump commemorative gold coin at the Arts Commission approves design. So
Wow.
so this is what it's going to look like. I don't know that I like that picture. Maybe we need to get a little. That's a little severe, but I don't know. What do you think?
They're kind of taking it off of when he did that arrest photo where he had
Oh
that
yeah,
face.
that is true. Yeah. So that's 1776, 2026. 250 year anniversary. So looks beautiful. So it's going to be a gold coin, to be legal tender.
Wow.
So quite impressive.
It is. I wonder how many ounce
Probably 1 ounce.
is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Huh. Because those are going for about 52. They were 54. Now they're about 52, 53.
Hmm.
I got some when they were 54. I'd never had any of this stuff before, and people were so mad at me, and they said, you got to get something. And so
Yeah.
I just got one. And it's nice to have one. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I got it when I was 54, and now they're 52, 53. And it makes me heartsick because because being in ministry, it just is a weird thing. But they said you got to have something to get through just in case. So I
Yeah.
got a silver,
Good.
and I got it when it was 120 because I didn't have any money when it was 35 and 45 and 70. You know, I didn't have anything
Uh,
to do it. So I went ahead and did it, and so now I've got them. So I'm not gonna starve. It's all gonna be good.
that's right. So
Yeah,
it's back down to, like, I think today it dropped down to 68 um dollars an ounce.
for silver
And
or gold.
yeah, for silver. And
Silver.
then for gold, I think it's down to 46, 4,600 something. So it's a buying opportunity, I believe, because
Mm-hmm.
it's going to go much higher as the stock market, goes down, or as you know the world economy collapses, because we're seeing a lot around the world, especially like in Asia. They're stopping flights because they don't have fuel.
Mm-hmm.
They're not making, but people, excuse me, are
Mm-hmm.
staying home because they can't even afford gas for their motorcycles. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Vietnam and a lot of those areas, they get around on motorcycles. They don't have the fuel for it anymore. So this is already massively impacting the world. But what is it doing? It's basically showing everyone, who really is in charge. That's
Mm-hmm.
President Trump, and he's collapsing the deep state apparatus everywhere around the world.
It's all going to come to a level playing field. I think. This is just me, but I really do believe the currencies are going to flatten out so that it's not this one. This country is worth this much, and the same one over here is worth only this much. And I don't think that's going to be the way it.
No,
I think we're leveling the playing field, and that it started with peace. And the layers you can look back and see that, well, then he did this, and then he did this, and then he did this, because all that has to be cleaned up for us to clean up here. Because if that isn't straight and that isn't headed in the right direction, we can do anything we want. They're going to come in and do it to us again. Do you know what I mean? So all of this has to be done in such an amazing time frame, and amazing structure, and amazing layers. Um, the things that they're dealing with, because I still have people that are mad that Biden wasn't arrested on inauguration day in 21. I mean, they're like, that should have been taken care of then, and then we wouldn't have all these problems. And it's like, it doesn't relate if he would have been arrested or not, because he's already dead. But
yeah,
if he would have been arrested or not.
yeah, because it was a awakening process, and
Mm-hmm.
that's still going on, like we were just
Mm-hmm.
talking about with Newsom. So
Mm-hmm.
disclosure, exposure, disclosure, exposure, and then they do more to expose themselves. So this is all part of the process, because Californians still don't seem to get it. I don't know. It's still, people are leaving California by the droves,
Mm-hmm.
and the economy's got to collapse at some point. Same thing with New York City. People are
Mm-hmm.
leaving New York City because Mamdani. I had somebody that was telling me that he did his ceremony underground. I'm like, what? And he used the Quran instead of the Bible to swear in on. So there's a lot of issues and problems across the board.
Wow. I didn't hear about that aspect of it, but are people
Yeah.
not watching the pattern? London gets a Muslim mayor, and now look at England is in so much trouble. But People were
Hmm.
telling me back in the early 2000s, 2001, 2, 3, I was there a lot. And they were telling me then how bad the communities were and how the Muslims were taking over
Yeah.
and how they were taking over churches and et cetera that couldn't afford to heat them anymore. And the Muslims were coming in with money and taking them over. And now everything's locked up and they're doing whatever they're doing in there and nobody could find out what they were doing. And it happened in America too. I come to Georgia and they're buying up the churches in Georgia and doing that too because there's churches at every corner. I'm not kidding. I thought they were kidding me. They're not kidding.
You
They're
mean
everywhere.
mosques?
Churches, and then they can't keep them all up. They can't.
Oh, okay.
As the generations move on, nobody's paying the money to keep these churches going
Hmm.
anymore, and so they're taking over. And then they did the same thing. They were locked down. They had white box trucks parked all along the side, and people were just scared to death of them. Said nobody even wanted to go knock on the door and ask what they were doing or what they planned on doing. Everybody
Mm.
just left them alone. So.
Yep. And that's happening in Iran, where the mosque are like, there, no one's going into the mosque. The mosques are
Mhm,
drying up, hardly any mosque, but still, the people aren't taking over there because,
mhm,
they're still very violent, very much in control.
mhm.
So I don't know how that's going to get turned around. You know, if we do end up being putting boots on the ground, I mean, if we're going that direction, it's going to probably end up like Vietnam or something crazy like that. So that's really unacceptable. I don't see Trump doing that, but we have
Mm-mm.
to see. Have to see. How this is going to play out.
Well, they have so much good equipment and so much good information and intel. That's how they could do these things from the air and not because they know how to pinpoint and find these people. And that's why when it was it Soleimani, because it was after Baghdadi, when he said what his house looked like and what was going on. And they saw his daughter leaving the house. And he goes, so how do you know this? And Trump said, because I know where you live.
Yep.
So it's still an uprising. I really don't think we're going to enter into anything like because we never should have done Vietnam Civil War. We shouldn't have done Korea Civil War. We shouldn't be in the Middle East. We shouldn't be fighting this for them.
Yeah.
But it's just to keep them from being here. But it's
Well, just
it's
recently they
very
had I think they're going to try and take out Temple Mount. We've talked about how there's been a plan for hundreds of years to do this World War III. Jewish or Zionist, not Jews, but Zionist against Muslims,
Mhm,
and Albert Pike. So
mhm,
we're probably going to see something that's going to spark the Muslim community into an uprising, and that could be the Temple Mount. Now, the Temple Mount, of course, uh, they want the third temple of in Jerusalem, and Temple Mount's in the way. So
mhm,
I've heard that they've been tunneling under the Temple Mount so that they can cause a collapse of the Temple Mount by some stray missile. So they've already had a stray missile that's hit in that area. That happened
mhm,
several hours ago, and
mhm,
there, of course, the Jewish community, rabbis and so forth are condemning it, and so they're going to be an uproar on their side. But you could very definitely see the Temple Mount get destroyed, and that will really spark some craziness. Now, when I was in Iraq, now I used to do courses, and I had this one guy that was coming to do. I used to do courses in the wilderness, uh, um, like survival and teaching people how to push their consciousness and all kind of remote view and all that kind of stuff. So I had one of those planned, and I had to cancel because I got called in by the CIA to go do another trip last minute. So one of the guys that was coming to my course said, you know, yeah, I didn't think I was going to be able to come to your course either, but uh, I just got canceled, and I was supposed to go to um, in Iraq. They had like this Muslim shrine there that was very sacred. I think it had been there for like 500 years or something crazy. Uh, and it and this is right at the time where, we had made the transition. Saddam Hussein had been found in his hole, and things are starting to
Mhm.
kind of calm down. Well, they went in and blew up this mosque, and it was a sacred holy mosque, and it just started pretty much a civil war between the Shia and the Sunni,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that raged. And so I know how they do these things because he said he was working for um what was that? What was that one catering group that was Cheney? It was Cheney's business at one time. Anyway,
Halliburton.
Halliburton, thank you. So he says he was working for Halliburton, and Halliburton said, "You don't need to come now." And then, like days later, that mosque blew up. So
Wow.
yeah. So I think they have it planned that they're gonna take down that mosque or the Temple Mount, so they can rebuild their third temple. They have to
Mhm.
remove it otherwise. And
Mhm.
they had the brown heifers, and they were like, oh, we got them, but we didn't do the sacrifice because
Mhm.
one of them, we found one of them wasn't perfect. I think they did the sacrifice, and now
Yeah.
they're moving in that direction to uh, you know rebuild this third temple.
Mhm. And you think they're going to put William in it?
That could be. That's funny you say that.
Is
You
that where the crown chair is? I don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Because we know that also, Lucifer has to come back, and that's another one of the calling. So yeah, that's
Mhm.
funny because some people are saying that he's Lucifer. Very, very funny times.
He's the only one that has all 13 bloodlines in him.
Wow, interesting. Good call. Wow, how
So
about that?
that's why
I thought
Charles
that
had to
was
marry his
random, but
young.
I see you have something behind that. Go ahead.
Well, he was dating the older sister of Diana, and the older sister of Diana told
Wow.
somebody the truth about, I know what he looks like and blah, 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 blah. But, if he was a garbage collector, I wouldn't marry him. But because he's a prince, I'll go ahead and marry him, kind of thing. Like, I know what he looks like, So she wasn't even interested in him. But they had, uh, Charles had a certain number of the 13, but what they were missing is in the Spencer line. And so he was going to marry that sister. And when she did that, he immediately, and nobody watched this, that he was dating the other sister. And then all of a sudden, boom, he's dating this young gal who's really too young to, you know, and she was so shy. And so, you know what I mean? And she had no idea about the breeding program of what was in store for her. And
Huh.
then when she had William on the solstice, it was the date and the hour was planned. Then she wore the Rosemary's Baby dress that Mia
That's it.
Farrow
I was
wore in the
just I was I'm
movie.
gonna, I'm gonna, I'm gonna look for that and bring that up. Yep.
And then did you see when Kate had George? She did the same thing.
Really? Oh wow. So I'm bringing that up. I'll share the screen
Because see,
here.
the 13 is in William, so the 13 is in his children too. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the first lineage with all 13.
Huh. Interesting.
And they'd
So
been progressing to this for a long time. Yep, there's Kate and William, and that's the dress. And the same thing with Diana. And then there's a white dress that Mia Farrow wore, and Kate did that too. I think that was at the christening or whatever. But both of those dresses were from the movie Rosemary's Baby, who had the devil's baby.
yeah, let me see if I can pull that one up too. Yeah, I remember that movie. That movie was trippy, very trippy.
I know. I wish I wouldn't have seen it. You can't forget it once you see it. You
Yeah.
can't forget it.
And then the little kid at the end, he had that little, grin, like, yes, I'm Lucifer.
Hmm. And that all of the friends around them all knew the truth. She's the only one that didn't know. That was
Yeah.
tough.
So here it shows them all together. So I'll just share this picture here. So you talked about Diana, kind of
Mm-hmm.
having it, and there's Kate with it, and then there's
Mia
Mia
Farrow.
Farrow with it on. So wow.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's some funky stuff going on there. Now, you know, Diana, claimed that there were reptilians, and
Mm-hmm.
we've heard a lot about that. What are your thoughts on the royal family being reptilians? Obviously they like children because a lot of people have said they've seen them eating children. They went to
Mm-hmm.
Canada, and I guess a bunch of kids disappeared in Canada one time. So
Out of the orphanage.
out of orphanages, right?
And they brought the orphans in,
Yeah,
and the orphans that they took in that survived have seen them shapeshift. And that's
right,
what you're talking about, going to a reptilian. There's
right.
places throughout Europe, there's a place when you guys come, we're going to go to South Carolina. There's a place for the reptilian, the reptilian stand-ups that they put like the lion at the end of the property. When you come in the
Right.
lane to drive back to their big mansions, they have them in South Carolina, and there's a pond there, and they said they have witnessed them alive in the pond in this location in South Carolina.
Wow.
But see, South Carolina is a world order. So it makes sense that they're in South Carolina. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whether they've traveled anywhere else, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they're standing up, and they've got a unique head, and a head's kind of the shape of ours, and they've got like this bill thing that comes out in the front. They've all looked the same.
Hmm.
And when the children saw those statues, they went crazy and tried to tell people these are people, and they're like, no, these are not people. This is a statue. It's made out of concrete. People were trying to explain it to them. They go, no, it's them. It's them. And Queen Elizabeth was one of them.
Wow. Yep.
And they saw her shapeshift into that and then back.
Hmm.
And supposedly at the Met Gala, they all can do it.
Really?
So it's something that you choose to do after a period of time. It's your choice to you have to do certain things or whatever to free it from. And
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
Met Gala, when they're all dressed in all those fancy outfits, they go in and everything is dark, and then what the you're just that you're not wearing that outfit you came in with, and then the outfit's back on them again when everything's back to normal. And
Mhm.
so people have described that to me too. I don't know that many people who go to the Met Gala, but the ones that I have met and know have witnessed it, and there is a little video about it. Somebody was able to capture it,
Yeah.
where in the moment that it changes and the moment that it changes back.
Wow. So, yeah, I
So,
mean, it's a process they go through.
yep.
They do ceremonies, and
Mm-hmm.
they have these orgies and so forth. That's to lower their tolerance and
Mm-hmm.
morals and all that kind of stuff. And then they start to come in with drink this blood and be part of the
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice, and
Mm-hmm.
and then you do the sacrifice, and then you eat the flesh, and
Mm-hmm.
like the Catholics do the flesh
Yep.
and blood of Christ. So
Mm-hmm.
it's all woven into a lot of these cultures. So same thing in the the popes and all that stuff. They have the same type of ceremonies,
Mm-hmm.
shapeshifters, and you see what looks like a snake, where they have that new temple, and then they have like these crazy figures. It looks like something out of hell, where the Pope sits and has an audience. It's like, wow, it's like in our face with a lot of this stuff now.
Well, have you seen the pictures underneath the Vatican? I shared them a few years ago. I could probably try and find them again now, share them again. It's underneath the Vatican, and it's the people that they have sacrificed.
Hmm.
And then, so like there's this big, like it's a big outdoor, like a clay planter. And as it comes up, it's got different child head sizes. So
Wow.
it starts with little babies, and then it gets bigger because it's done as an art form.
Hmm.
And you see the skulls of the people that they've sacrificed, and they're everywhere. They're on the walls, they're on and
Oh,
then all of the daggers that you see have the skull and bones. image on it, the same 322 from the death cult at Yale.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
It's people think that there's all these varieties. That's to confuse you. That's to divide you. It's
Right.
you're either in one kingdom or the other. You choose to do this life or this one. That's it.
Well, that's a problem that we face in that Trump and team is up against is
Mm-hmm.
that these secret societies have infiltrated everywhere to the
Mm-hmm.
point where they control most everything. So
Mm-hmm.
part of shutting their system down is like we're doing here is
Mm-hmm.
exposing it, and it is a process. That's why Trump had to step away. Of course, there's a dash,
Mm-hmm.
45 dash 47. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, he told the generals and admirals, I am 45, 46, and 47.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you don't like that, you can go ahead and leave.
Mm-hmm.
Who there was no camera to see if anybody got up and left, but I think some people were dealt with in that group
Mm-hmm.
and have been for
Mm-hmm.
a long time. Even
Mm-hmm.
even when he was not in office, a lot of those people were being dealt with. And there's
Mm-hmm.
more exposure. There's more
Mm-hmm.
exposure going on right now, and that's part of this process. Who are the war fighters? Who's going to go out and who's going to be part of, fighting this just war, and who's
Mm-hmm.
not? Which nation is going to get involved and which nation is not? So
Mm-hmm.
it's a big process of revealing and disclosing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And this relates because I was just thinking, I haven't mentioned Daniel again. Remember, you had the guy Daniel on that the permit? He
Yeah,
bought the land, then he got a permit, then he built a house. He had outbuildings, and now they're threatening him and burning the outbuildings, and they want him out of his house. So now they're gonna renege on the permit, and now he can't have the house that he built with all the inspections and permit all being approved.
yeah.
this
It
is
was a
what
shooting
we're talking
range. Yeah,
this is what we're talking about, guys, and instead of just bringing him on and talking about that, it's everywhere. If
yeah,
you let these people come in and run your town, they're going to change the laws and the rules and the way that they want them when they want them. It
yeah,
was the same thing, and this goes all the way back to the Native Americans. They were free on the land. They didn't have any of these laws and rules. They didn't have any of these law licenses. They dealt with truth, and you came for equal justice, equal mercy if you harmed someone, and it all got handled in between the people because they were united and deciding who's telling the truth and how does this get resolved. And that's how things got resolved, because it's we the people resolving everything. And they were living this way before all this craziness came in, the tyranny came in and took over. So what happened is he got his permit, got his inspections, his house was all fine, and then the government people change. And all it takes is one person in your planning department. All it takes is one person in your supervisor or commissioner department, and all of a sudden your country roads aren't going to be taken care of. You know what I mean? Because they want you out. And until you're out, they won't take care of your roads. Do you see what I mean?
hmm,
They're operating completely opposite of the president. But when this happens, and so people wrote in and said, you didn't cover Daniel yet. You didn't talk about Daniel. And I think even Daniel wrote in, and we're getting so many, we've been getting like 350 positive comments in like 24 hours. Now we're over 500 this last couple of times. And it's adorable. I do scroll through them, guys. I scroll through and see what you're saying and what's going on. And I appreciate all of it. And sometimes I'm giving you a thumbs up a lot because we're all going through this together. We have to come into unity. That's the thing the family has to come into unity. We've got to start figuring out how to get along with each other, because all of it's been about division, and we have to turn the tables back. We have to turn it back to being safe on our streets. We have to turn it back to, because that's why ICE is cleaning it up, so we can get back to who we were and how, because you destroy a culture, you mass move people in, change the whole culture in communities so they don't even know what to do. And that's how you take over. And that's what they've done. We've been overtaken since 1791. None of this is new, but it's worse because the evil keeps getting worse. When good men become silent, we became a silent majority. President Trump said, how can you have this many believing people, more than anybody else in this nation, and you're not fighting for your rights?
Yeah.
How did this happen? How did you become this silent majority when you're the majority of people? When you're the majority of people, you should feel free to stand up. But nobody was standing with Daniel. When I went through everything I did in San Diego, it was the people at the church that said, I think she's got a problem with the FBI. I'd stay away from her if I were you. I really think you should leave her alone. The next thing you know, the FBI is going to be knocking on your door. So I didn't have anybody walking through it with me. We can't, if we stay like that, there's going to be more people's permits being pulled and it's going to be your house. That's what they said about Germany. It was my neighbor that had the problem, not anybody in my family. And then it was a couple of people in my family, so I got concerned. And now they're knocking on the door for me. Mm-hmm. Those are the stages they go through, guys, and they've gone through all the stages. That's what the slippery slope is about in the Eternal Plan book. These 45 points took us down here easily, and we aligned with the craziness, complied. Remember, do not comply. We complied the whole way and didn't realize how bad it was going to get, because how big of a deal is it that my daughter just goes to this concert? How big a deal is it that she just does this? And then all of a sudden, kids say they tell them they're walking into hell, and then 3,000 kids die. And then all of a sudden, a month later, it's not even a story anymore. Yeah. We just lost 3,000 kids. And you're worried about a hornet's nest in Iran. We're so disconnected. We've got to get connected. We've got to come together in unity, and we don't let things happen to our neighbors. And that's what he's proving to us with Cuba, Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico. Our soldiers have no reason to cross the border and clean all that up, but it's going to keep coming in here. They're going to keep killing our youth with the drugs and everything. It's got to stop. Yeah. So to get it to stop, we're going to go help our neighbor get it cleaned up. And that's what he said about Iran. We've now given you your freedom back. Now go structure your government. And then people are like, do what?
I think we're going to seize Mexico and Canada, because they can't run their country. So we're going to have to. No. So I think the people are going to have no problem with that. Now, there's a question. Sheila, please research where that missing train car went from California. Remember the one that had the 30 tons of ammonium nitrate? I just pulled it up. I'll share the screen so we can see, how this stands. So this is AI basically telling us, where this is at. It's nowhere. Based on recent reports, approximately 30 tons, 60,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate. This is used for bomb making. That went missing during a rail shipment from Wyoming to California in April 2023. So we're looking at 3 years now. Was never found. The material was sealed in a rail car, yet arrived empty at its destination, triggering a federal investigation. Missing shipment details. Car left Cheyenne, Wyoming, went to Saltdale, California 2 weeks later. There were speculation. I've been following this for ever since. They said, well, it was probably the vibration of the train car opened up a way that all of that could have leaked out throughout the entire distance. I'm like, well, send a drone back up there and see if you see it, because it's in pellet form. So they have never, it says no suspects or conclusive explanation for the disappearance have been publicly released by authorities as of the latest reports, making it a lost incident rather than a found one. So that's where we are with that, guys. It's, that's a lot of ammonium nitrate. For me, with that amount of ammonium nitrate and the other chemicals to make demolition, I could bring a lot of buildings down. So kitchen demolitions, no problem. I've been trained to do that. It's not that hard. They use it. They use it in, making dynamite pretty much for, mines and so forth. And it's all gone. And they don't know. They keep saying they don't know where it's at. There's no way they don't know where it's at.
Well, how about at Kash Patel, FBI Director Kash Patel? He's got his own Twitter. The one about the elections and what the president was saying, I did at Secretary of State Marco Rubio. So that's what I'm doing. Because everybody wants, I don't know why everybody wants to ask Sheila. I get Guys, I get tons of emails going, I want Sheila's opinion on this, and I want Sheila to read this book and tell me what she thinks, because I don't know what to think about this book. And you want me to stop everything and read this book. So this is what I tell everybody. Take it to the Father first. And then when you hear what the Father says about it, then come to me about it and we'll talk about it, and there'll be a testimony out of it. Because then we'll both be seeking him, because you're seeking Sheila and I only have human wisdom, guys. I only have human answers, and I didn't know anything about this train. I may have heard that it was missing, but that would be something, because the FBI is getting cleaned up to let Kash Patel know. Also let the U.S. Marshals know, because it crossed state lines also. So state lines would be FBI and U.S. Marshals. So all I can do is recommend sources, because it's not on my radar for what I'm writing about. So I only go to the Father what I need, because I go to him about deep stuff, like I did for all the books in the book series. I couldn't come up with all this stuff. And be cautious about AI, guys, because you're reading from AI what AI, whoever put it in AI, to spit it out to you, because it's based on who put it in there. That's what they want you to know. Just like we said about who does AI think they are to submit a different definition about our Constitution, about who can run for president. Anchor babies do not qualify. We shouldn't even have anchor babies in Congress. Guys, we need people fully committed to this nation. We've got enough Americans that want to be president. Okay. And that they're multi-generation. I've met 8 and 9 generation Americans in the South. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Got blue bloods. I didn't know what true blue. It's not just a New York show with Tom Selleck about the police department. It's actually about people who have been around so long. They know all of these things. They're original people. They've stayed true to their name and everything this whole time, and they're famous in the South. And I've met a few of them, and boy, do they know stuff about what has happened, because they kept the truth in the generations. And so we have to figure this whole thing out. And I don't know what these other people know, but when I need to know, Father will either put someone in my life, send someone with a message, just like when my supercharger went out. I mean, I don't have an Italian sports car, but I had a supercharger engine, and so I had to get it repaired. And God said, there is someone in America, his name is Wade, and you're going to call him and you're going to meet with him, and he's in Missouri. So I call, and Wade goes, you must be Sheila. And I go, what? And he said, God said, as soon as you call, we need to get you to the Knights of Pythias Castle. Guys, this was in 2019. It was in 2019. It ended up in book 4. I didn't know anything about these guys. I didn't know about their castles or anything else. And he said, the biggest one is here in Missouri, and he wants us to take you on a tour of it. I said, I want to tour a castle. And I really resisted it, because I right away, it hit me. These are some top level secret society details. And then he said, oh, and we're also supposed to tell you about the 72 chiefs of Babel, because everybody thinks it's one group that's running all of our lending and banking and finance and everything in America. It's been the Babylonian process the whole time. The 72 chiefs of Babel have run the whole thing. And this guy knew all the details. And so God had me deal with all of this and learn all of this. He hasn't had me put it in a book yet, because I think it's going to be in book 7. It could be in book 6, but I think it's going to be in book 7. A lot of the stuff that I'm already working on right now is going to be, because right now 6 and 7 are in America, in the beginning. And then it's going to be the world, in the beginning. Because you're going to start to see parallels of how it's always been. But that's why I went deeper in this in the new book on the taking us over before we were self-governing, because it's not just the last 5 presidents. It's not just horrible for us now. The Native American Indians, they weren't told, we're going to pull your permit. They were told, you've got to give up everything. You can only take what you can carry on your mule or your horse and get out of town. And they had 2- and 3-story wooden homes. They had beautiful homes that were taken over by governors of territories before they were even states. The homes were that nice. And so at the time, And so we're not understanding how bad they want us gone. And we're not understanding how bad they don't want us to survive. We're not getting it to our core that we've got to, as we the people, come together and fix this thing.
So there was a question for you, a little bit of a stretch, but maybe not much for you. It says, what does Sheila think of Gnosticism and the divine feminine Sophia?
Haven't studied any of the Gnosticism. Don't even know who Sophia is. Guys, I am so directed because we've been so off the mark. America was established between the Native Americans and the Pilgrims. They got along fine. Everybody thought that they were there to get rid of them and scalp them and et cetera. The first Thanksgiving, that none of that is true. They all knew the same truth. Yeah. The Pilgrims built the faith monument. They knew the truth. And everybody in America was already united and working together and realizing they got away from all of this because they got out of the Gentile worship in the churches, which worships the sun god on the venerable day of the sun. We have to change that. That's why the president's calling us to prayer. So I'm not directed in anything else other than what's going to heal our land, heal our bodies, heal our relationships, everything. We got to heal it all because we have cooperated with the people that want us dead. And we have done what they want us to do to be dead. And then we want somebody to fix it so we don't die. And it's just, we have to clear our minds and do what we have to do. So I don't know who this Sophia is, but this is the first president who's called this nation to prayer. And that's what they had to do in Nineveh. And because they did it, Jonah said, you got to do it. They repented. So God relented. 100 years later, Nahum went, it was right back in Gentile worship, exactly what we're in, because they brought it in from Europe. And none of this has to do with the Lord or the Bible or the Ten Commandments as we were founded by our founding fathers. None of it that we're doing. And so that's why people get in arguments. And I'm going to have to get a hold of General Flynn. He came out with something this week that said, right now, the Catholic Church is under siege. The Catholic Church is under deep siege because the Catholic Church was created as Gentile worship. Under Constantine, it was Holy Roman Empire, Holy Roman Catholic, just means the word universal. It's like, y'all come, any belief is fine. You just come and you sit down and you don't have to worry about anything because the priests are going to handle everything. When people start finding out what the priests and the bishops and the Pope and all this stuff are doing, it's just like the red shoes. I think we talked about this in a recent interview together. It's not that you're wearing red shoes. Red shoes indicate something, but what is the red shoes? The red shoes of the people who are eating the children are made out of the skin of the children. They're so soft. They're so fragile. They're not something you go buy at a store and then somebody judges you. I mean, we had people there was a pastor's wife who came in red shoes because she had a red outfit on and it matched perfectly. I can't match red. She was able to. And I thought that was really interesting. And people were so shunning her, upset with her, didn't want to be around her, talk with her, didn't want to shake her hand. And I'm like, what is going on? Look at her shoes. She's wearing red shoes. Because we get into the symbols, we almost drove each other crazy. Do you remember when we started looking at the symbols? You go, you see that symbol? It's on the top. It's on top of that shield. Do you see that? Stop. Would you stop? All of this stuff was here before our generations. It's been here the whole time. You know what I mean? We have to be real about all of this. And the focus of the president, first ever to call us to prayer, which may save us, because we did the 3 eclipses, I think, interview. And that's Nineveh, guys. And yep. Nineveh and Assyria are no more. It's Mosul in Iraq. What does that tell you? God got his people out and everybody else gone. And there's no place to send us, so everybody else could be gone in a night, just like Sodom and Gomorrah. They could be gone in a night, just like Noah taking off with the ark. I've said this before. 100 years, he's telling the people the truth. The water's going to start coming down from above. It's not going to take care of everything from below anymore. And they go, for all time, it's coming from below. I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody got on the ark with him. Just the last 7 days, father worked with his family, and his family got on, but only Noah was righteous. And then Nimrod, his great grandson, said he went to the sun and came back as Baal, the sun god. And here it goes. And then he's deified as Osiris, which is the Washington Monument and all these obelisks. And his mom was Isis Ishtar, and that they were sacrificing children. It all came back in 2 generations. So they didn't even pass it on to the 3rd and 4th generation. From one family, it became as we are now in 2 generations. And that's why this fight is so deep. So to say, what do you know about all this other stuff? I can't deal with that other stuff because souls are at stake, and I want you guys to survive. And so that's my focus.
Very nice. Very nice. So incredible commentary always from you, and your website, hisbest.org. And I'll share the screen so everybody can see that. So hisbest.org. And you have a nice store in there where you have your books in here. And that's you. I thought that was Shirley Temple, but that's you as a little girl.
That's what everybody says. That's funny. But that's me. Yeah, my cousin sent that.
That's a great
I was
little
4 years old.
Clip, shows you throughout time. Very neat.
Yeah, Matt Struck did that. He did the short videos for President Trump's campaign. Remember when they came out from the archway with the black cars and went to the jet airport and they had Ronald Reagan in the background?
Oh,
I said, I'd like something like that if you were going to do it. He said, I've been wanting to do it for a few years. I was shocked. I was shocked. He got it all done in 7 days. He read the new 500-page book in 2 days and then did that whole video in 7 days.
Incredible.
5.5 minutes, my whole life, all the decades in 5.5 minutes.
It's cool how it just blends, and you can see the time and how you change over time. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the little bit of AI, because he colorized this. It was a little black and white 2x2. And Dad bought me that it was a cowboy hat, and he bought me a cap gun that day because we were celebrating.
Oh, I love the cap guns. Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, I miss them. The smell was a little bit, but it was so fun because of the noise. It made that pop noise. It was just really fun.
Yeah.
It's always good to be with you.
We play, Cowboys and Indians and Western, movies with those. That was pretty fun.
Did the same thing. My dad would sit and watch those Western movies with us a little bit on Saturday mornings that they used to play. Yep. And it was a good time. We're going to come back to having that kind of family time.
I think so.
Yeah. People are desiring it. And we got to make a choice and do it.
So we'll do this last question because I think we both speak to this. Sheila, do you think we will have martial law before midterms?
I don't think we're going to have it at all.
I don't think so either.
The shift in the people, guys, I get a lot of emails, and the shift has happened. The people are realizing it's we the people in order to form a more perfect union. It's us. Yeah. You and me. President Teddy Roosevelt said it all the time. Guys, there's no government out there like somebody that's supposed to rule over you. It's you and me. And he was governor of New York because of the Rough Riders and going to Cuba. And then he went from New York to being president. And he said, don't look to me to do these things. This is us. This government is you and me. We're going to get this done.
Beautiful.
FDR was completely different. FDR was high noble in the Knights of Pythias.
Yeah.
Loved Woodrow Wilson, and Woodrow Wilson was Knights of Pythias. Yeah.
Yep. Started bringing in communism. So, yeah, it was tragic. Very tragic.
Yep.
And people still think of him as like some saint president. And it's like he was one of the worst.
Well, he set up World War II. They killed a lot of our relatives. And so, just saying.
Yeah. Yep.
And he knew what he was doing to get Japan so angry because nobody wanted to go fight in a war. And they got to keep wars going because that's their money laundering. So you got to keep the wars happening. So that's what they did.
Yep. And and then when the veterans came home, I think it might have been in Georgia. There was a county in Georgia where the vets came out and they were doing illegal voting or something, and the vets were onto it, and they basically uh, broke into the National Guard armory, got guns, and the sheriffs were all corrupt, and they like
Mm-hmm.
shot up the town and
Mm-hmm.
got the vote, the illegal votes, and showed it to everybody. So uh, that's what we need again. We need
Mm-hmm.
the veterans and the mama bears and so forth to get active again and really keep our, because we basically gave up our power to this
Mm-hmm.
political class, and we have to take it back.
Mm-hmm. Well, and look what we're going through now. Our elections, when those ballots are all counted, that number and all of the record has to be taken care of with the House of Representatives so that everything is accounted for. We've had to go through how many subpoenas just to get one county in Georgia? I think they had to go 3 or 4 times. They made them keep adjusting it. And then when they got there, they gave them the same number of boxes, but they gave them 315,000 that weren't even legal ballots, and every one of them was for Biden, and he only won by 11,000. Okay. So they went way overboard for Biden. And the count that they had didn't match what was in the boxes. So, I mean, this is what they do. They keep cover up, cover up. We got to do this. We got to do this. We got to prove that Biden won. So, this is what we're going to do. We're going to give him these boxes. And then they said, we're going to do an injunction against this. None of this is private it's not yours. This is a federal election and everything has to be turned over to, and some of the counties got rid of it just to cover up. We've got, it's not funny. I shouldn't be laughing, but it's just, when they lie, they have to cover up their lie. And then when somebody finds out the new lie, they got to cover that lie up. And I've just watched it happen again and again with people where is the truth? Because if you don't have the truth in you, that's a reprobate mind. All it means is there's no truth in you anymore.
Yeah. So that was the 1946 Athens election violence. And they came in and basically, like I said, the veterans, the townspeople are like, "You wait till our veterans come back." World War II, and they came back and they're like, "What? They've been cheating in these elections all this time?" So it was a lot of we're talking about FDR's. FDR
Mhm,
basically, they started illegal voting all the way back then, probably even
mhm,
before. So
mhm,
basically, the veterans, I think it broke out a lot of other places, but that was the one place that it got a lot of publicity. And they show one of the cop cars that was like blown over. They dynamited the cop car over. So credible. But that's, like I said, that's what we have to do again. If we have to go to that length, hopefully we don't, but if we have to go to that length, we need to do it. If we can't go through another election process of illegal voting from the radical leftist and the rhinos,
mhm.
our nation will be destroyed. We'll never come back from it.
Well, there is something, and I think it's in our Constitution, that when this happens, when we have to completely start over and do it the right way and establish it the right way, operate it the right way, there's 120 days where you prep to do an election.
Mm,
And there's no problem there. That's what people are going crazy over. We don't need any machines or anything. There's no problem counting the number of votes.
mm.
That's not a problem. And checking it off before the end of the day. That's not a problem. And so we've gone into this crazy mode of it all has to be in these machines. And they found out in World War II, the ghost in the machine.
Yep. No, I thought it was Athens, Georgia, but it's Athens, Tennessee.
Okay.
It says it's
Yeah.
along I-75 between Knoxville and Chattanooga. So I did
Okay.
I remember I did a show about this, the Battle of Athens, and it got taken down by YouTube.
Well, I miss I thought I got the link. You were sending me the link that you did on Iran and the split of the different beliefs. That was so profound. I'd really like that link out. And if you want to tag me on it on Twitter, I want to send it out on Truth and et cetera too. That was so brilliant because that's the kind of stuff we need to know. We need to know what's real today and what's happening today. And that explains so much. It was so brilliant. And then now I can't find the link that I saw it on. But I received a link from someone, saw it, and then I didn't. Somehow I always save them, but I couldn't find it. So I need that link, because that is brilliant. And guys, when you get a chance to see it, because we haven't known what we've been up against. You know, all I said was, when you mentioned him in the hole today in the in the dirt, I remember it was a dirt place that he was in, but I wanted to mention, and now I'm going to take that chance. Remember when they found him? What did he have, a pallet of $100 bills from America? And it was stacked all the way up, and it was right by him, almost as tall as he was.
Wow. So that was, I'll show it on here. It's this video right here. Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco. So it's a historic turning point for people of Iran and defeat of extremist Muslim Shia around the world. So I talk about, my encounters with the Muslim Shia. I call them the shits. we call them the shits because they're the violent ones. So the Shia are the ones who are in Iran. Iran is the one that basically, foments and pushes the radical, violence. Because Islam, for the most part, is very peaceful. But the Shia are violent because they want to have complete control. And if you don't agree with them, they'll kill you. And that's their thinking. So that's Hezbollah. They've ruined Beirut, beautiful, beautiful city. It's ruined. They've, done the same thing for the Gaza Strip, of course, with Hamas. So Hamas, same thing. Same thing happened in, what was that little country there was going to? Yemen. Yemen, again, pretty much the Shia from Iran came in and backed them. So everywhere that I went in the Middle East, whether it was Afghanistan, whether it was Iraq, you name it, it was always the violence of the Shia, always. So I say they're the problem.
Well, this is
that's why we
brilliant
had to
because,
take out Iran.
yeah, and the Sunni, you were going through the description of, I've never heard this before.
Yeah.
And we've got all these Chaldeans, when Saddam was taken and handled and hung. Why didn't all those people have to go home?
Yeah.
None of them went home. They're still here. So
yeah, good
I
point.
don't know. But I never knew.
Yeah, you've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah.
They brought them over. Same thing with the Afghans. The same thing with you name Libyans and you name it. It's been now some of them integrate, but some of them don't. And the ones that don't should leave.
Yeah.
You either integrate into America and believe in our values. If you want to push Sharia law, which is not constitutional law, you keep pushing it. Maybe you go to jail if you're a U.S. citizen, and you come out, push it again, you go to jail for longer. And I don't know, maybe you stay in jail for the rest of your life because it's not going to happen. We got to stop this because they're, like we talked about in the beginning of the show, their motivation and is the end of the white race so that they can take over. And they talk about it. You go to the streets of New York City, where they occupy the streets of New York City for their prayer. They do that nowhere else. They don't do that in the Middle East. They do it in their massive mosques, and they don't come out in the streets in the Middle East. But they did it. They do it in New York, and they say they own New York. They're already saying it, and they got Mamdani, that's there at the head. So they're going to get away with it. They're going to do it.
That's how you change a culture. If you don't know your culture and the language is the other thing we have to resolve. Missouri, as far as I know, Missouri is the only state that is only English, no other language.
Yeah.
But my relatives, when they came, they had to learn from Norway. They had to learn English. They couldn't speak in Norwegian. They couldn't have conversation in Norwegian. And now,
Mhm.
no matter where you go, people are talking all these different languages. And in California, the ballot comes out in multiple languages. So all these things come out. Even that special one in 25 that only had one item on it. Can we change the districts? You knew they were going to do it anyway. They're changing all of the districts in every county, and it's only going to cost a couple million in each county. And it cost them $2.5 million just to do the crazy one item ballot because of all
Mm.
the languages.
Mm.
And then all the districts are different. Everything is just, it's such a mess to
It
keep
is.
confusion. Yep.
Mm.
So much to clean up. We're not going to be bored. No, we're not going to be bored. We're going to get this done.
Well, we will get it done because it has to be done. Otherwise,
Mhm.
destruction of our culture,
Mhm.
our civilization. So yeah, we integrate, but we don't put up with people that don't. And
Mhm.
if you're coming here to basically destroy our try and destroy our culture, say that you hate America. Why did you come here? Well, then you need to leave. And so
Mhm.
uh, we
Mhm.
we but like we're talking about, we know that they've been brought here for a purpose, and that
Mhm.
purpose is to replace us. And we have
Mhm.
to really push back and fight back on that, just like those vets did in Athens, Tennessee. They came
Yep.
back. It's so funny. I remember reading about that, and there's a movie on it as well, from I think 1950s or something, where they basically do that, show it. But I remember all the and a black man came in, and they wouldn't let a black man vote. So
Mm.
they were wrong all across the board in a lot of different
Mhm.
ways. So the townspeople were like, "You just wait till our vets come back." So that
That's awesome.
they effed around and found out. Yeah, so it was good.
Mhm.
But we
Yeah.
need more of that. We need to bring that back. That same ideal to protect America and fight for America if we need to.
Mhm. That
All
is
right,
true.
Sheila.
This is awesome. Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you so much. Love our conversations. You're brilliant, and you bring a lot of information. People love it, and we love having you on. So thanks so much.
Well, and you're brilliant. You notice, and I only have pieces, and I need your pieces to finish the pieces. I mean, it's been so fun. It is so fun because you keep the humor in it too, and I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, and that's I got that from being a Navy SEAL because we just gallows humor type,
Mm-hmm.
and it works really good. So I see it
It
in law
does.
enforcement and
Mm-hmm.
nurses and doctors and fire department. We all have like that gallows humor.
Mm-hmm.
We see death and destruction and so forth, but we work through it, and we keep
Mm-hmm.
each other lighthearted and so forth. So that's what I've tried to do with our audiences, and they seem to like it. So we'll keep it up.
This is awesome. This is awesome. And I thank you. It's always fun with you.
Yeah,
I can't believe the time just flies by, but it's always
I know,
fun.
right?
I don't know if there's any questions. We can't leave anybody hanging. We got anybody hanging out there? Are we good?
Well, we probably do, but I got another show coming up.
Okay.
We did answer some questions, so uh,
Yeah.
that'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing it, so I think people appreciate it. All right,
That is
Sheila,
awesome.
lots of
Okay.
love to you, and thanks so much, and we look forward to the next show.
Yep. Have a great trip next week.
Thank you. You
Mhm.
too. All right, thanks a lot.
What's up, folks? Welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I'm with Sheila Holm, and she is here to bring the heat, baby. Sheila, thank you so much for joining me. Lots of big news. I mean, I kind of see this Iran thing, no matter how it's played out, no matter what happens to the oil, working out for us because why? Drill, baby, drill. That's what I see happening. Alaska, Texas, jobs coming back, oil production coming back to the States. I think Trump knows exactly what he's doing, and he's not intimidated or worried about anything. And he's killing two birds with one stone, taking everybody's oil, and at the same time, taking out the nuclear threat of Iran, which would have been used. People don't understand this. They were going to play this card, right, Sheila? The globalists were going to play this card of nuclear Armageddon, and Iran was going to be the catapult to this, correct?
Yep.
Thank you for joining me.
That's why it wasn't us that took out those guys. It was Israel. Remember that last meeting President Trump had with Bibi right before all of this? When he had that meeting, the press were asking him, so what are you guys saying about Israel? And he goes, I've never even mentioned the word Israel in this meeting. He made it very clear. And then he looked at Bibi. He said, I've never mentioned the word, have I? And Bibi had to acknowledge they never mentioned it. They were working on this because President Trump has also said, everybody's missing it. Guys, we're going to support him. We're going to support them, but it's for them to deal with. The Middle East situation is for them to deal with. Here's the other thing that got uncovered, and I don't know, on my Twitter, I put this out yesterday. Bloomberg actually came out with a chart, and there's absolutely no oil barrels that we're looking for coming through the Strait of Hormuz. But here's what Trump did. Nobody's reading The Art of the Deal, The Art of War. You need to go look at it because this is how he does it. So he said, guys, we're going to have our Navy ships and they're going to be protecting you. When you want to get through the Strait of Hormuz, we're going to help everybody move through there. We're not going to let Iran control this, blah, 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 blah. Do you know who came to our aid to do all of this? Nobody. Not one. Not one.
But that's kind of like that's also killing another bird with one stone. I mean, exposing who NATO is, right?
Yeah. So then he said, you know what, guys, since none of you want to participate in this, I don't need any of that oil anyway. So we're backing off. So we're not going to do anything. And then what happened? China called within moments. China called and said, guys, I need your help because we're going to be out of oil. You know what I mean? Because they can't get it from Venezuela anymore because he bought their 80 million barrels. This has been so brilliant because we're revealing nothing has healed since the Spanish-American War 120 years ago, 130 years ago. Nothing has been healed based on going all the way back. I mean, so America became the world order. We've talked about this in 1871. We didn't just become a corporation in 1871. They already had centralized banks, guys, in 1791. So none of this is new. They've been controlling us and then made us the world order. And we've been funding everything. And everyone hates us because we're controlling everything, but it's not us.
So do you think China takes Taiwan now? Do you think this is the opportune time for them to make a move on Taiwan?
China doesn't have a way to make a move. They're begging us for barrels of oil.
Trump is a genius, man.
I know he is.
Even if Trump blows up these oil fields, like what's happening, he doesn't care, right? Because we are going to bring it back here. Drill, baby, drill, right?
And guess what he did? People don't know this. I've been fighting this with our friend for about 6 weeks, 8 weeks. I said there's still 200 capped rigs in California, 200 capped. It's been for a few decades, guys. And they capped them and wouldn't let us do anything. And so we lost businesses, family lost their homes. I mean, all of these guys have been in this industry forever because it's your transport, it's your rig guys, it's everybody. The whole industry took that hit. 200 capped rigs. What did President just do in the last 48 hours? War Powers Act. What's happening now? Rigs are opening up even offshore in California.
So, in other words,
he has the power to do that. Newsom can't stop it. It's not a state issue when it's a Wars Power Act. So the Gettys, but capping all of our oil rigs, it's over. That game's over too. So we're going to be fine. We got 80 million barrels coming from the Venezuela to help their prosperity and their lives. And then we got this going on. But here's the backbone nobody's really looking at. England has revealed who England is.
Explain.
We thought they were really great because, oh my gosh, they got this big British Commonwealth and all the crown and all this kind of stuff. Nobody has realized that's what he's breaking the back of is actually England, because England is a financier behind all of this. And so now we've got even France calling us wanting to do something about oil. We've got, you know what I mean? Because I don't know if you can bring up
financing everybody, correct?
The chart on Twitter, it's Asia and Europe. We've been making it all happen for everybody. And now he said, the Strait of Hormuz isn't, this is a Trump. I just love his humor. Did you guys notice the Strait of Hormuz is not straight? So if America gets involved, we'll make the whole thing straight. So what happened within the hour? It was a Strait of America, just like the Gulf of America.
Whoa! Trump just named it. What are you talking about? I didn't even hear about this.
They put the map out to show everybody the Strait of Hormuz, and then they put another map out and put Strait of America because everybody's calling on Trump to straighten out the Hormuz issue over there. Do you see what I mean?
This guy is.
He's so brilliant.
We'll never have another president like this ever.
No.
Ever.
No.
We never have, and we never will again.
Yep. And remember when we talked about Panama and the Panamanian president, and all this is in the pictures are all in my book. The social media was so fun with the president on that. Oh, and I've got a new Panamega picture. I'll have to send that to you. Panama, they have him up on a ladder, adding the street sign Panamega to the canal. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good.
This is an amazing time to be alive. You know, you see a lot of podcasters out there just bashing Trump, man, going all in. And I've always said they're going to be just like the cells would be activated in America. Podcasters were going to be activated as agitators.
Yeah,
agitators, correct, Sheila? I mean,
yes, and people I've known who've been wanting to become U.S. attorneys and everything else, they're starting to say, "What's he doing? It's a hornet's nest. He never should have gone in and started a war in Iran. We're not doing war. He said he's bringing peace. We're not doing wars." And they don't understand this is an operation, a military operation. Now, if we back up just a moment, now I want to go back to the Strait of Hormuz and show that chart if we can off of Twitter. I don't know if you can pull this up off of Twitter.
I have.
It's Bloomberg chart. It was yesterday.
Bloomberg.
You'll see a chart. It's got the Strait of Hormuz. It is totally a U-turn. Look, and then and on the outside is a chart around it, and it's showing what percent of all that oil, and America's nowhere around. We've been helping everybody this whole time, and we're not part of it at all.
I'm trying to pull it up here. Where would I find it?
It's down on yesterday's. I will
Bloomberg map or chart.
It's a chart right under Trump's quote. You see here. It is down under Cuba, down under the White House.
You're on yours.
Yes, it's 1 day ago, and it's a retweet.
Here we go. Okay, so
And when you open the retweet, you'll see President Trump's quote about all of this, and you'll see how China's in trouble because China was getting their oil from Venezuela.
So
now they're not. Now they're going to get it from over there still, and now they can't.
So here it is. Wait a second. What am I doing here? All right. Do you see it? The Cuban dictator Miguel Diaz.
Yeah.
Okay, it's caved. So I go down. Where am I going here?
You keep going down. You were going great.
It's not. Oh boy. Do you see it?
Keep going. It's 1 day ago, so it's down a ways. Sorry to do this to you. Down a ways further and further. Japan and Cuba happened yesterday. And scroll down. And you're getting real close. And there it is. The countries and regions that, of the world who rely on the Strait of Hormuz. We're not on there. They're not even on there.
Wow.
We don't even need it. Do you see what I mean?
Trump has. I mean, this should make every country want to go against us. They can't do it, can they?
No.
He knows.
And you know what's really crazy? People are going to find out how many of these countries also committed war crimes against us in 2020 that's not over yet.
Yep,
do you see what I mean? All of this is related. So anyway, he offered to have ships around him and make all this happen. And you see the Strait of Hormuz symbol is on the inside. That's exactly what it looks like. There's nothing about it that's straight. And so Trump has been talking about, he's been saying there's nothing about this that's straight. You guys, if I'm going to get in there now and get this taken care of, it's going to be the Strait of America, just like the Gulf of America.
That's insane. I am just blown away at this guy. I mean,
I know. I know. Remember when the Panamanian president was saying, quit terrorizing me in these tweets. Every square acre of Panamanian land is going to continue to be Panamanian land. And President Trump just goes, we'll see about that. 1 hour later, he's got a ship going through with a flag. And he warned these guys. He offered everything to these guys to use our military, our ships to protect you guys going through there so you can keep getting your oil. And not one of them even wanted to help. And not one of them even tried, not only help, there's nobody paying. We're paying for all this. So he just said, you know what? I'm done. You guys go ahead and fight it out yourself. You figure out how to get through there with them putting, because they're saying that they've loaded that area so that your ship might blow up if you try to go through the Strait of Hormuz now.
So obviously Trump has a grand plan here. Let me talk to you about some other things real quick. And I really want your opinion on this because honestly, Sheila, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing tons of AI videos on Bibi Netanyahu, and I'm not convinced he's alive, man. I think maybe we suffered a hit with that, or if you want to call it that, maybe,
Well, see, they thought we took out the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. They thought we took out all the leadership. We didn't do it. It was Israel that did it. And so now if that's what's happened, back to them, because this is their war, not our war.
But what I'm asking you is, do you think Bibi's alive or dead?
Don't know. Nobody's hearing from him, are they?
No, that's what
he normally come out and be saying something.
That's what I'm saying. What do you think?
I'm hearing it all over that he's gone, but
okay, so you're hearing the same thing I am, and I am looking at this going, these are all, why would you need proof of life videos? And then they still have glitches, like Huckabee's face contorts. Bibi's still, they haven't got the fingers thing figured out yet. He's still missing a finger when he shakes his hand. He looks like he could be gone to me.
But I don't know. I'm not on the inner team on that, so I can't tell you. But what I can tell you is people are still confused. That is not the Israel to bless. The Israel to bless are the 12 tribes of Jacob Israel.
Right.
And they haven't been there since the 600, 1700 time frame BC. That's before Christ. That's not after he was here. So we're talking, and that lineage is 4,000 years.
Do you remember when Bibi gave Trump this? To me, this was like a backhanded slap in the face. Netanyahu gifted Trump the golden pager. Do you remember this?
No.
Golden pager. Now, we know what the pager was used for, right? They were blowing up all the Palestinians, the Hezbollah, Hamas. Remember, they're taking them out with the pager.
Wow.
And he gave Trump this. Like, to me, that was like, he was telling Trump in so many words, F around and find out. You know what I mean? Like, it was like a very symbolic, like, we control you type thing to me. That's how I saw it. And I don't know. I think these two have always been frenemies. Keep your enemies closer type thing. I don't know. I just thought I'd bring this up. You didn't know about this?
I didn't know that happened, but I've met people who say they're in the lineage of Bibi. They are Jewish and Israeli. And I said, oh my gosh, I love teasing people about this, because how are you Israeli when it was a corporation that was created in 1948?
So and this was
created by the Israel tribes.
So this was I think last year, February 6, 2025, when they wrote this. So this is a while back. Wow. So to me, that's like a huge slap.
That was right after he became president.
Yeah.
That was right after the inauguration, February.
Like, you better do what we say type thing, then. That's how I look at that. Like, that's crazy. Crazy. And then you got to...
Because Israel has been controlling us to keep funding them and taking care of them.
Right.
Now, and there's this whole mixture of, it's Iran and Israel. They're calling themselves President Trump, before he did the meeting in Quantico, he was in England, remember? Then when he came back, what was the first meeting he had? Bibi. What was the meeting about? State of Israel. He never named the corporation before. Nobody ever named the corporation. They go, why are they calling it a state? Isn't that a nation? Why are they calling it a state? State of Israel is how it was registered as a corporation under England in London.
Really?
Yeah. They renew it every February. Isn't that interesting?
That's interesting. Holy cow.
So when the president went, okay, let's just remind this, because that's what I mean about breaking the back of England. This all started immediately when he was back in office. And so by the time September rolled around, because remember the January military accountability letter back in 24, it was 1 year and 9 months exactly when they had the meeting at Quantico. And in that time, there were all sorts of court martials we don't hear about because people keep wanting to know what's happening. I said, military justice is not in the public news. Military justice is done privately. You don't hear people saying, well, these 17 people were court-martialed this last Tuesday. You know what I mean? That's not what happens. And so if we back up to that, and then he comes in 25, and then all of this starts happening. So here he goes back to England. And when he went in 2017, he got her to surrender to him. She just took her little left white glove off, laid it over her wrist, and surrendered to him. And then he inspected the guard. And just to be sure, he went around with Charles too. That's 2017. Okay.
Yeah,
when he went back now, that castle, that palace Buckingham has been locked up, painted up, boarded up ever since they took him out with COVID. And when they took him out with COVID, they both got COVID.
Since?
The what?
The Buckingham Palace is still closed?
Yeah. That's why they're living in Windsor Castle.
Really?
But let me point out the other code we got. Who rode in the king's carriage? President Trump and Melania.
Yep.
Nobody can be in the king's carriage except the king.
That's
now. Let me go back to
all
the
signs
summons.
are there, right?
Yeah, let me go back to the summons. When the summons came out, King of the Western Hemisphere. People go, well, why is that? Why is it called that? And His Excellency, remember, it drove people nuts. His Excellency, the President of the United States. Did you know those titles were in England? That's been the control kingpin over all of this. King George was King of England, King of Ireland, King of Italy, King of France, King of all these different places, right? Canada was supposed to be part of America, and they even split that off and put it in the Commonwealth. Australia's in the Commonwealth, New Zealand's in the Commonwealth, etc., right? So now let's look at what they did. What were the titles that King George had? King of the Eastern Hemisphere, King of the Western Hemisphere. So why was a summons sent out of the King of the Western Hemisphere? Is because remember what it said in everything about the military? Those bases were established by the British Commonwealth. Why do those bases have offices of the CIA in all these different areas that were involved in the 2020 election? Okay. So he also used the terminology, His Excellency, the President of the United States. So what happened is he removed their power over us. Okay, so that was a huge step. Then the state of Israel, he came back, and I'm willing to bet you he also resolved the corporation of the state of Israel because no one has ever dealt with it. And he calls a meeting on Bibi, and the first time publicly it was called, my meeting with Bibi is going to be about the state of Israel. Then he has the military come in and he straightens all of that out. Okay. So I think if I had a crystal ball back then, I probably and had the powers and all that, and that was important, you could see this happening. But we weren't looking for any of this to happen. But to be confused about the titles, because these titles were the titles that were held in England over us.
And so that's all been resolved.
The Western Hemisphere. Do you see what I mean? Nobody's ever done this. And now Spain's trying to enter in. Why? Spain never gave up Mexico, Cuba, Venezuela. They never gave it up. And we paid them $15 million under the Treaty de Hidalgo. When I was trying to do land patents and help people in San Diego, everything came out of the land of the Treaty de Hidalgo. You have to go back to that. Not just 100 years of ownership. You got to go all the way back to us paying them $15 million for the land that's America that they're trying to come up out of Mexico and get back. So what happened when President said, now I'm going to be focused on Cuba? God told me, and I don't know if we covered this, but God told me go back to the Spanish-American War and go back to San Juan Hill. San Juan Hill in Cuba, if we had not been victorious with Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders and the 17th Cavalry out of New York, all these guys brought their horses and went down to Cuba and fought. And they won the San Juan Hill victory. Because they did that, which is in Santiago, Cuba, what's right beside it? Guantanamo Base. So as soon as President Trump says Cuba, God has me looking this stuff up because my dad took us to the Badlands of the Dakotas, and we went through Teddy Roosevelt's, when I was a little kid, his cabins that the Rough Riders had. And they'd get a call. They put all their guys and horses on trains, get them all wherever they have to go, and take care of things in America. Well, this was in Cuba. So when I looked this up, what do you suppose the new headline was on CNN about Cuba? Will America give back the land they've stolen from Cuba?
Will America give back the land they stole from Cuba?
Exactly. And so what people don't understand is what we have down there is Guantanamo Base. We didn't buy it. You can't buy land in Mexico. You can lease the land and build something on it. Same in Cuba. We have been leasing it since 1903, and we paid a hefty price in 1903, and it's never gone down.
That's right.
And so we didn't steal anything from anybody, but it's just like you tell the people in Mexico they've stolen from you. And it's Spain that resolved this whole Spanish-American war. Okay. And so where did that money go? And why aren't you telling your people what America paid you? But see, none of this has been important. It's just like Panama wanted their canal back. America's taken their canal. They want it back. And they protested. They never had a canal. France was paid $40 million from us because they said they started it. Then we paid $10 million for the land to Panama. So the land price wasn't even in what France. So France was building it without owning the land, but we bought all of it. We paid Panama, we paid France, and then we paid another $375 million to build it. So this is what they say. This is what they do to us. This is how we've been treated the whole time. Why? We never understood. We are the world order since 1871, controlling everything and paying for everything and having the benefit of zero.
Just being taken advantage of.
Yep, by everybody. That's why everybody's been mad at America.
It's coming to an end right now.
Exactly. And it took the pressure of somebody who's a New Yorker, who went to a military academy. I mean, his comments back when he was in the military academy, this is the job for him. You know what I mean? I'm looking forward to whoever's going to be next, but
oh, man,
I don't know that that's going to happen before 2050.
So let's talk about this for a second. Who do you see being the successor? Do you think, okay, so obviously we know that the 2020 stuff is coming out. The 2020 election stuff is just coming out like floodgates. They've seized a lot of documents and intel from or records from Maricopa County, Georgia. Everybody's it's over for the Democrats, right? So even if this Save America Act doesn't pass, Trump's going to sign an executive order. It's going to, we're going to go into a national emergency. They're going to lose. This is done for them. It's over for them. What do you see happening, Sheila? Do you see Trump maybe serving another few years after this, or riding off into the sunset and letting J.D. Vance take the helm of the ship? J.D. Vance, what do you think of J.D. Vance? I mean, where do you see all this going?
The thing about J.D. Vance that's humorous is that J.D. Vance was 5'8". Mike Johnson is 5'11". J.D. Vance is the height of the president at 6'2".
What?
Yeah,
okay.
J.D. Vance is 6'2". Look at he's taller than Mike Johnson, who's 5'11", and he's as tall as the president.
Okay, he was originally 5'8".
But J.D. Vance was a freshman senator.
Are you telling me that's not J.D. Vance in your opinion?
Well, what's really interesting is who Pence was, who people now know that Pence was a bad guy in Indiana. Who Pence was in Indiana is the same for J.D. Vance background in Ohio. and he was a freshman senator in Ohio. So I think things are going to get revealed as to exactly.
So you think they're replacements? You think JD Vance is a replacement?
He's 6'2".
Okay, so
people have guessed who the other two people are who are 6'2", and I don't focus on it, but that's why I'm not saying a name of who I think should be in there next. And I'm going to share something with you crazy about our election process and our Constitution. People have been writing to me and saying, Sheila, you don't understand. Rubio would be a great president after President Trump. And I said, no, he can't be, because his family's Cuban. They're from Cuba. And they go, well, no, he was born in Miami, so he can be. And I didn't know why they kept arguing with me. Well, I was on with the 3 military guys. It's called Slacker 82 Alpha. And I'm on with them. And all of a sudden, the fun guy, Goose from Puerto Rico, he says, Sheila. I don't. Is that a Spanish version of my name? In Japan, I'm Shira-san. So maybe I'm Sheila. And they're spelling it out, and they go Sheila. I got to tell you, and he's reading Grok definition of the term in our Constitution, and Grok is AI, which people feed AI, and guess what it says? What? It says that to be president, you have to be natural born, and the definition of natural born is you have to physically be born in America.
Okay.
That's an anchor baby. You can't be president if your parents weren't born in America. That's natural born. And I've told the joke many times. There was a professor, and he was saying, about how to be president, you had to be natural born. And a gal in the back starts crying, and he goes, what's the matter? And she goes, well, I thought someday I'd run for president. No, I can't. And he goes, well, aren't your parents born in America? And she goes, yes, but I was born Caesarean, so I wasn't natural born. I'm like, oh, come on. So her mom had to have surgery, so she didn't just come out naturally. Oh, so people didn't understand. But I didn't know why people were in such an argument. But what they're doing is they're going to Google, and Google's now AI, and Grok is AI, and AI has changed the terms of our Constitution. Isn't that interesting?
That's real interesting, because I was looking at Charlie Kirk's death the other day, and they said that he isn't dead. I don't know where AI is getting half the shit that they're putting out there. Like it's
people have to feed it. That is no memory of anybody. That's being fed the information. AI is being fed the information, just like all the effort they went to have GPS for our cars, so they know what area to turn in and where the streets are, and et cetera, et cetera. It's fed the information.
Well, let's get into some Cuba talk here.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like Panama. There's a direct correlation between what Cuba tried to do to us and what Panama tried to do to us.
Here's this right now, pulling up this article. Bingo. U.S. says Cuba is prohibited from taking Russian oil as 2 tankers head to the island. What's going on here, Sheila? It says here the U.S. Treasury Department has made clear that Cuba is not allowed to take any Russian crude oil. The warning comes at a time when 2 tankers carrying Russian oil and gas are thought to be on their way to Havana. The fuel-starved Caribbean island is facing its biggest test since the collapse of the Soviet Union under its U.S. oil blockade.
Well, was that behind the decision yesterday of the president to cave? You just saw that on my Twitter, where he finally decided he's probably best to start negotiating with President Trump, because we're in the Western Hemisphere and we should be taking care of each other, and they should be taking care of each other. What's happened is we've been taking care of the Eastern Hemisphere, ignoring our own land, our own needs, our own infrastructure, our own rebuilding. We've been ignoring all of that. And so now he's making good neighbors out of it, because you cannot go forward and pass anything on to the 3rd and 4th generation. We aren't going to leave anything to those generations if we don't clean this up.
Cuban dictator Miguel Diaz-Canel has caved after weeks of claiming he would never negotiate with President Trump, accusing him of trying to intimidate Cuba. Cuba is officially negotiating with the United States. I mean, this is wild. Wild stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everyone is finally coming to the table. Like, Trump is like, really, like, he is single-handedly, and I'm sure with the help of our military, obviously, generals that invited him to run, single-handedly is taking down the New World Order. Everything about it, the globalist plan, the agenda, everything. He's just dismantling it like a surgeon.
Well, it's because no more wars, no more. The whole thing has been lies. We haven't needed to go be there and blow them up and then rebuild them. It's not our job. It's not what we need to do. It's not who we are. We're going to take care of America and our neighbors, and everybody else needs to do the same. If we don't stop this battle back and forth, and that's why I really think, and people still laugh, I really think the biggest thing that's going to happen with currency is that it's going to be the same around the world. That no nation is more powerful than any other. No nation is regarded more than any other.
Field, in other words,
level playing field.
But is it going to be like a cashless society, digital? That's what I'm worried about. You know,
yeah, well, I mean, that is crazy, but they already have cards for people that have silver and gold, and that they're using the cards in a certain amount. You go in and buy something, and then it rations off how much gold or how much silver handles the bill. I don't want that kind of a card. Can you imagine if I was carrying that kind of a card and I set things down to sign a book for somebody? And the card's gone? I know.
I don't want to have a chip. Nobody wants to talk to the beast. I mean, come on.
But it's kind of heavy to lift around. Gold isn't.
Yeah, okay. So you're saying you would take the chip, Sheila?
No.
Okay, so there you go. So that would be the only option that I think they would have, would be to make everything easier on somebody, is you have a chip in your body. I'm not going for that.
Well, they've already done that to people with lithium batteries.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, we know we're headed towards this. Elon Musk and his, Neuralink and I know that's the future of humanity, and I know that's where
it's a maybe. It's a maybe.
But still,
we don't have to choose it. I'm going to throw something else out because this I have learned myself. I've lived it. So when I went after the judges and everything, they kept changing my ID. So I didn't have bank accounts, didn't have anything, didn't have any way to do anything. And what God proved to me is that if we stand in faith with each other and we do all we can to bless each other with who we are. So it's all our skill, talent, and abilities. I mean, there are things that you can do for people. There's things that your family members can do for people. And we stopped doing that because they made it all about money to lead us to this, to have us make that choice for the chip, because that's all in scripture. And so God, my first 4 books, it was a trilogy and a workbook, was all done in 2 months. In 2014, it was that urgent to tell the people how to live in faith, function with each other, bless each other. And that's why people have said, Sheila donates more books to people than even possible. But the thing is, that's what I have. Silver and gold have I none, but I have what I have, I give to you freely. And that's in scripture. And so that blessing cycle becomes his storehouse, because we have completely pulled away from the storehouse. It was never about bringing money. If you have an increase, because it's a tithe of your increase, it's not a tithe of your total income all the time. It's a tithe of your increase. And so let's say that this year you had 12 chickens instead of 10. And so the 2 is your increase. And so you take a chicken in, or you take a calf in. And if it's too heavy to get it to the fellowship of believers to bless the people, then you stop in the marketplace and sell it and bring that. But that's the thing about money. They made it all about money. And what Father said, if you don't tell my people how to stand in faith, learn how to bless each other, be good to each other in my name, and then he increases. Okay. Then every time we get together, we have a blessing. We have something that blesses us, and we have a testimony. And the person who blesses us has a testimony. All of that has disappeared. Then once you do that, then we could live in what? The 3rd book is about God's currency. When you're doing this, and he proved it to me, there were 7 times, and this was back in 1998 or 9, he had, in 1 year, he sent me to England 7 times in the 12 months. And every time I did have a $1 bill to go. And then I finally had a $5 bill to go by then, because I'd traveled so much. And so I had a $5 bill with me. I travel. I get blessed. I go to all these. I always went to 7 other nations and then back to England and home. And so I go to these nations, I get blessed. I everything's taken care of. And when I get home, the pieces of the currencies of all these different nations, I turned them all in. And you know what I had back in my hand? A $5 bill.
There you go.
And so I said, this is pretty crazy. And I said, this is happening every time. And he goes, it's your training. And I'm like, training on what? And he said, I'm proving to you, I don't need your money, the world's money, to take you where I need you to go to do what I need you to do for my people. And if we all did this, because he said, I want my people to know before they try and collapse the currency, because when they collapse the currency, my people will be lost. They won't know what to do. And so that was so urgent in 2014 for me to get that trilogy out. And the reason he had me do a workbook, because he said, even those who call me a pastor, call themselves a pastor for me, all they want is money. So they don't even know how to tithe other things. And I proved it in churches in California where they had people list all the things they had need of, and they had people list everything that they could tithe from. Whether you're a mechanic, attorney, a doctor, a dentist, all these people, if you could tithe, what would you be able to provide? And it matched. It absolutely matched. And then I said, who we're to take care of are those who are fatherless, the widows and the orphans, but every single mother has a child with an orphan's heart, because when the father's not in the home, you don't have that lineage direct to the Father in heaven. And all of this is scriptural, and that's the only undefiled religion. And when I talked to our friend about the president saying that May 17th is going to be about religion and faith in Christ, and so then I said, but religion, right away, one of his people got the microphone and said, let's all get back to a church. And that's not the religion God is talking about, right, or the president is. And he said, my religion is faith in Christ. But that's the start of everything. When you stand in faith, everything changes. I had no way to come out of this except the Lord. And so the Lord has brought me through all of this and shown me stuff in these books. And that's why this new one, I said, how can I write a training manual for future generations when look how much has changed from my first book to now in 10 years? How can I write for
how many books
400 years in the future? But he did it. People are calling it a synopsis for life.
How many books have you written?
The what?
How many books have you written? Like,
this is 21, 19 while I've been in Georgia for a decade.
21 books you've written.
19 in the last decade.
One book is not even is an easy task. That's incredible.
There's 3 more that had to sit aside. It took 3 years to get this new one done. The eternal plan, the one that counters the 45 points, because that was the ultimate. I said, well, let me just get 2nd edition Nation Restoration out, because General Flynn's been waiting since 21, and God said it's too critical. You've got to stay on the 45 points. I had no idea how it was going to map in. And it's so emotional, Nino, because you were with me before anybody knew about the Panama Canal. If God had not shown me, because nobody in all these
years.
You
were crucial in that, I believe.
The what?
I said you were crucial. You were critical in that, I believe.
Well, nobody could find it. And then after I found that it was a U.S. State Department statement, can you imagine the millions of documents Marco Rubio had to go through quickly for the president when he finally got in to get all this done? I mean, it's just, this whole thing is miraculous. But if we didn't have the Panama Canal, how would we be doing the healing of the Spanish-American War with Mexico, Cuba, Venezuela, Colombia? Those are his focus. But he'll come over here and he'll have our guys support what Israel has to do in Iran, and then everyone says he's in a war in Iran, and all he's doing is extending the Middle East war. Complete lie. That's a complete lie. We don't put boots on ground anymore. We're not going to go fight their wars.
But he is about to deploy troops over there. But that'll be, from my understanding, for them to, when they take back their government, it's going to be like reinforcement.
Yep. He will support them, but we won't be at war.
Right. He'll be in support of the revolt.
Yeah.
Like monitor.
And have you seen the humor about who they're going to try and put in place? Because they keep trying to put relatives in from the from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, and they've got cardboard ones that they're going out and throwing off the top of a building, and then they're in the hospital and it's a cardboard. Oh my God, it's hilarious.
It's wild, man. We are watching such an amazing time, and we are headed into the golden age. I mean,
yeah.
This is the golden age. I mean, a lot of people are. Do you still see a scare event happening?
People are still, but these are not people with the president. The people that are not with the president who want to be the next president are talking about still get 10 days of food. How many times have we heard that?
Yeah, but okay, so I know he's surrounded by deep state swamp creatures, and we know that he's still having to play ball with a lot of these people. But do you see? I mean, I kind of see something happening around the time of midterms. Now it's just a hunch. Like, I'm not psychic or anything like that, but that would be.
I get it. That resonates with me, and I think it's going to be. And I said this when we were on with our friend together. You asked me, what do you think is going to happen with the election? And I just said, I don't think we're going to have the 26th election the way people think we're going to have it, because I'm seeing all of these articles from the different states. Texas already did a primary with machines, and he told them no more machines.
Yeah.
And that's already in an executive order. We don't have to, and everybody goes, well, we don't have that national emergency one yet. He's already told them. And they said, well, this isn't really a federal election. I said, do you not understand that every one of these is a federal election? Because Congress is only supposed to be there for 2 years. Even in the 1960s and 70s, I found all these guys that had 14 terms. And I'm like, 14 terms? 14 times 4? How old are these people? They were 2-year terms, but they were just constantly in there then. And so the 4-year, 6-year terms is new. Nobody was any different. Everybody had 2-year terms. And then if they aren't doing what they need to do, you remove them and replace them. But waiting 2 years is different than waiting 40, 50 years for them to get out, So, but we didn't understand. Now, here's the other thing, and this, I think, is going to make the difference with Tina Peters, is that when we have elections, they are all federal elections, because every one of them is a term. They're calling this a midterm because Congress is now 4 years, but that's wrong. So if we come back to the truth of our Constitution before Woodrow Wilson made senators 6 years and made them popular vote, then everybody became globalists and all of them are making deals in other nations. They don't have any right to do that. As soon as all this hit, on everything that was happening, and we weren't going to be doing deals with these people, et cetera, what did Newsom do in California? Go start making deals internationally. The governors have been doing it. The Congress has been doing it. The Senate and House have been doing it. They have no authority and no rights to make any negotiations anywhere in the world. They are there to fight for us, and they don't even focus on us. And that's what he's proving too. They won't even pass the Save America Act. They have to debate it now.
Yes. I mean,
you have to debate what?
This is why the government shut down.
Yeah.
And there's mayhem and chaos. I think it's a mixture of also the Iran war and terror threats, but that compounded with the government being shut down, travel's crazy right now. I wouldn't travel right now. I mean, even driving. I went to a checkpoint. I went to White Sands the other day, and the line at the checkpoint was like a mile long. And I was like, oh, come on. So even the roads are jam-packed right now from what I saw, from where I'm at. So it's crazy, and it's all the Democrats' fault. They don't want to pass something that fair and safe and elections. How do you not? Because they got to cheat.
Well, and that's what Schumer said. This act is going to remove millions of illegals, voting illegals, from the voter rolls. He's actually said it.
I mean, nothing like showing your ass.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing.
They've been in control. Can you imagine? Let's say that you weren't raised by the parents you were raised with, and I wasn't raised by the parents I was raised with. Let's say that we were raised by parents who had this whole thought pattern and had all this figured out and were always successful and kept making money off of it, even though all of it was against the Constitution. And it worked for all these prior generations. And now all of a sudden, you and I are in the generation they're gonna do consequences. Consequences for what?
Yeah,
this has been going on for 230 years, 40 years, and you want to do something now? Because people are thinking it's the last 5 presidents, and that's why it's so much fun to go talk about point 43. we had centralized banks in 1791, and that's why Jefferson, Adams, and Monroe were gone, is because of the infiltration where they were bringing tyranny in, and everything we got away from is already here. And we hadn't even been a country for 10, 15 years, trying things out. I mean, we were totally taken over. We have never, ever had a structure for we the people in order to form a more perfect union.
And it's finally happening now.
We're finally. And now he's taking us so far into the depth of the evil in revealing it to the people. We are going all the way back to the Garden of Eden. And people said, well, I don't know what difference that would make. And I said, because everybody I talk to doesn't remember how Satan was in the garden before Adam was formed. None of this is new on what they're doing.
That's right.
Shakespeare, why did he write all these plays where women play men and men play women? What for what purpose? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
None of this is new. They always live that way. And that's what I think is the biggest thing to break in people, is your whole life has been based on a whole process of evil.
Jeez.
So you don't know anything but to do those same things. But by the grace of God, my parents wouldn't have even thought of this stuff. And that's why they keep sending believing men to war. They've created, and all of this is in the 45 Points book, they've created every war. They've created every cause to have our guys go and fight, because our guys, believing men, will go fight for a cause.
Yeah, for the
you tell them what has to happen, and they'll go take care of it.
Yeah,
and that's what they've done.
For 18 and 19-year-old kids, 17, 18, 19-year-old kids, they're under this illusion. They wave a big flag in their face and they realize they're going to go fight for corporations.
Yeah.
And money, bankers. That's what you're going to fight for. That's really what you're fighting for.
Yeah. Do you know this is the first time our guys have been in position helping us across this country?
First time
for
ever.
So many reasons.
This would be the only time, for someone to join the military, in my mind, for under Trump, because you're fighting for the right reasons, but really it's like, I mean, throughout history they've been fighting for corporations, oil, money, Halliburton, Iraq. I mean, it's just all corporations and big money bankers.
Well, remember back in 23, we did the interview on this where President Trump aligned with all the other nations, and all of the military, all their equipment, everything was done in exercises all around the world, all at the same time for 10 days, August 8 to 18 of 20.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. I remember that.
And when we did all of that, now, do you know, in the past 2 weeks on my Twitter, I had military guys coming and talking about the things I'm talking about from all of these different countries. And they're all using the same planes, and they're all using the same equipment. They know how to fly these things. They know how to operate with each other. So when people say, I think these guys are going to get away if you don't arrest them soon, it's not going to happen. We've got people positioned all over. The unity around the world was created this entire time that we didn't know what was happening. And I mean, I'm hearing from guys who are supporting and saying, because they're seeing the things Trump is doing, because their countries were taken advantage of longer than where we are.
So basically, Iran was just the last wild card we had to get rid of. We had to neutralize. Right.
Well, it should have been. Remember, this is Jefferson. When he created the Marines, he sent them over to Tripoli because of the problem. Because he said, we send our guys to take care of the problem so it doesn't come upon our soil. These guys had been running the country, have let all these problems come upon our soil and haven't been concerned about any of it. Why? Because they're all involved in it. When I put a notice out that over 80% are dual citizens in Congress, people said, well, I don't know what's wrong with dual citizens. And then they were starting to use Jan Helper as an example and said she lives in England and she's a dual citizen, but she loves us and she talks for us and with us all the time. Where's your commitment to Americans if you're a dual citizen? That's why. Do you know why they're not taking an oath? We got some FOIA responses. Do you know what they're doing to their oaths? They're circling, so help me God. It used to be when you raised your hand in court, you had a hand on the Bible and you raised your right hand and you said, I'm going to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Did you know that's no longer in the justice system either? And nobody noticed it?
I didn't notice it. What is it now?
It's just raise your right hand. Do you swear that you will tell the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I didn't
Nothing
know
about
that.
so help me God. And
Wow.
so they circle it in red and put no with exclamation points. They all look the same, and then they write on it refuse for cause. They're not going to take an oath to God. So it's not just in the Quran. When Keith Ellison started this, he was the first one to be sworn in of the Quran in Minnesota.
That's
I
right.
mean, Elon's his replacement. It started way back with him. And do you know what he had the guts to say? He made them go find the Thomas Jefferson. I think it was in his museum or library or whatever. They made him go and get the Muslim Quran from Thomas Jefferson, saying that he was a Muslim. He was not. He studied these religions to have the Marines go take care of things over there so it doesn't come on our soil, is why he had a Quran. He was well read, knew what they were thinking, knew what they were up to. They've been around since 600 AD, not BC. 600 AD is when they were created. And they were always in battles, losing a lot of people. On 9/11, when the new calendar was out in 1500s and 1600s, they were attacked every time on 9/11. I don't know what that has to do with them, but people think it has to do with other things. But I looked it up and I found all of these things where there were attacks on Muslim areas and they killed several other people. And it was on 9/11 in years back in the 1500s and 1600s.
That's crazy. Here's your website, Sheila. Any
Mhm.
plan, your books, hardcover 35, autograph copy 60, topics, interviews by topic. Great. Make a donation, PayPal, Cornerstone. This is where people go. The eternal plan to get your book always trumps a human plan. This is beautiful. Wow.
Oh, thank you. And people have been very, very gracious in getting an autographed book. Some are even donating more than the price for the autographed book. It's just been such a blessing. And your people are just loving all of this. It's just, I get so many compliments about when we get together because it's like friends getting together. I mean, I feel like I know you. And
it's always great, man. I love
you get it.
I totally get it. Yeah. But you are able to put it together in a way that my audience can see it so plain view, like a spiritual point perspective, which I love. And what is this? Yeah, this is great. So Alex Jones at the book table. She shares.
Oh, you got to love this. You see that picture? I sent this out. I sent this out to Juan the day this happened. I walked in. This was in Vegas when we were in Vegas. And I got to see you at that time also when Reawaken was there. And his new book had just come out.
Alex Jones?
So Dr. Mikovits, you can see me at her book table on the left side. And because his book came out, they did this promo on Dr. Judy Mikovits's book table, had my books there, had his book there. And And so I sent it to our friend Juan, and I said, "Can you see what's going on here?" I said, "I get top billing, and I don't think he's happy."
Oh, no.
He always looks like that. That's his picture. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, boy.
So I was just teasing, and but I didn't mean that I got top billing over him. But anyway,
I got you.
This
is where people go. His best, Sheila. I appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, you're amazing, and let's bring you on for another General's Tent pretty soon. People love asking you questions, and this time we'll just do it solo, just you, and hopefully you could do it. What do you say next month?
We can do it.
Let's do Sheila Holm, General's Tent. Let's do it. What is this month? March? Yeah, April. We'll do April.
We'll do April. I have to be in Dallas for a summit with the Trump team people the end of April, but I can do it I can do it the third week of April or the beginning of the fourth week.
Let's do around I don't know. I'm going to just throw something out there right now.
16?
It's a little early for me because I already
the 16th of April or no?
Can you do the 24th around 20th to the 24th?
Yeah, you want to do 23rd?
Let's do the 23rd Thursday.
Okay.
The General in the General's Tent, Sheila Holm, the 23rd of April. Thank you, Sheila.
And what time do you do those?
5 p.m.
Okay. 5 p.m. Mountain.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, got you. 5 p.m. All right, Sheila, thank you so much for joining me. God bless you. Go to hisbest.org, folks. Hisbest.org. I'll put a link down there at the bottom. Stay with me just for a moment, Sheila.